In the year 65 BC, which corresponds to the year 2023 in the modern era, the demon lord, a ruler of darkness, along with his 7 ferocious demon generals, tore through the fabric of space, opening a temporal rift leading to the human world. Close friends, cherished confidants, Wu Yan's loved ones perished one by one, leaving him utterly alone in a world filled with agonizing loss. Lost and solitary, Wu Yan drifted through a cruel world rife with suffering and despair. In the depths of his despair, he questioned his very existence. What am I even fighting for? Everything precious, once a source of faith and hope, had been ruthlessly snatched away. Just as Wu Yan felt his sanity slipping, teetering on the edge of madness, an enigmatic voice, imbued with an ethereal quality, unexpectedly echoed within his mind. It offered a glimmer of hope. There is still a chance. Seek the stone of remembrance, a treasure hidden within the Overlord's remains. It lies deep within a hidden, mythical god-level dungeon. This stone holds the power to send you back in time, to alter your destiny. Seize this final lifeline, Wu Yan. With unwavering determination, Wu Yan dedicated his life to finding the stone of remembrance and battling the forces of darkness. Thus began the legend of the Heartless Slayer, a cold and ruthless warrior whose name became etched in history. Heartless Slayer, a title synonymous with endless, merciless slaughter. Like a frigid comet streaking across the inky black night, he illuminated the deepest shadows, banishing evil and delivering justice to innocent souls. But that dazzling glory was built upon the blood and lives of countless souls. It represented terror, death, destruction, and the ultimate end for any foe who dared to oppose it. Today marked the 65th anniversary of that catastrophic event, the same day Wu Yan found the Stone of Reminiscence. The stone appeared after he defeated a ferocious beast in a god-level dungeon. If what that mysterious voice said is true, Wu Yan pondered, then please, send me back to the past, 65 years ago. Suddenly, the Stone of Reminiscence emitted a blinding light, engulfing Wu Yan. When Wu Yan opened his eyes, he found himself lying in his familiar childhood bedroom. A whirlwind of emotions surged within him. Wu Yan grabbed his phone and shakily dialed a familiar number. He waited anxiously, each second stretching into an eternity. Wu Yan, what's wrong? It's barely past 5 a.m. Why aren't you asleep? A familiar voice echoed from the other end of the line, overwhelming Wu Yan with emotion. He burst into tears. She was alive. Truly. She was still alive. Wu Yan, say something. What happened? My dear Ying, why do you keep calling my name like that? Are you sick? Your voice sounds strange. If you're sick, you should take some medicine. No, that's not it. I just haven't finished my homework. So I was hoping you could take a picture of yours for me to copy? Absolutely not. My voice is just a bit hoarse because I'm still waking up. Wu Yan looked at his reflection in the mirror, a haggard old man. He immediately performed a spell, transforming his appearance back to his youthful form from 65 years ago. He then continued to whisper Ying's name, causing her some discomfort. Just spit it out. What's going on? I miss you so much. Wu Yan confessed, choked with emotion, his heart overflowing with longing. For 65 long years, not a single day has passed that I haven't thought of you, of us. Hearing these sincere words, Ying felt a blush creep up her cheeks. You're acting so strange today. We just saw each other this afternoon. If you don't have anything else, I'm going to bed. I'm so sleepy. Wait, I'm on my way to see you. Now? But my roommates sound asleep. I'll wake them up. Don't worry. I won't wake anyone. Wait for me. Wu Yan hung up and rushed out of his house. An indescribable joy welled up inside him. Cherished memories came flooding back. From the faint streetlights and familiar colors of the houses to the scent of the night air. I'm back. I'm finally back. The morning after his reunion with Xiao and Wu Yan immediately went to the desolate forest on the outskirts of the city. He wanted to conduct a test. Only 48 hours remained until the Demon Lord's descent. He hoped that upon returning to this point in time, his power wouldn't have diminished too much. With this worry in mind, Wu Yan closed his eyes and began chanting. In the sky, dark clouds began to gather, blanketing the entire space. A ferocious lightning bolt suddenly struck, tearing through the night and ripping apart a vast expanse of land, creating a massive, gaping chasm. Even at 1% power, Wu Yan's abilities remained flawless, without a hint of diminishment or imperfection. Wu Yan snapped his fingers, and a gaping chasm appeared, the surrounding earth collapsing inward to fill it. In the blink of an eye, The ground was seamlessly level again, as if nothing had happened. Everything occurred so swiftly, it was like a fleeting illusion. "You brat, are you the demon lord?" Wu Yan's voice boomed with authority. "This time, I will make you beg for mercy, groveling at my feet." After this impressive display of power, Wu Yan headed straight for city number 13 high school, where he was a student. Upon seeing Wu Yan, Hua Xian greeted him with a teasing tone. "What's up? Not walking to class with Xiao on today? Don't tell me you pissed her off again?" Girls, their minds are hard to read. You'll never understand what they're thinking. Hua Xian chuckled, adding a cryptic, "Oh, that sounds pretty profound. You're sounding all grown up. Did you do it with Xiao on last night?" I overheard Xiao Ying's roommate telling her to run away. At midnight, no less. Seeing Wu Yan's bewildered expression, Hua Xian quickly reassured him. All right, calm down. You look like you've aged a decade. I swear, even holding hands with you would embarrass me in front of the guys. In this teenage form I'm currently stuck in, I'm a bit too ordinary. I need to stand out, be more appealing. Let me think." Wu Yan forced a smile, scratching his head awkwardly as he replied, "We just have to take things one step at a time. Ultimately, the goal is to win her heart." Hua Xian furrowed his brows, leaning in close to Wu Yan with a suspicious look. "You're acting really strange today, and you've got this wise old soul look on your face." Now that I think about it, a flicker of worry crossed Wu Yan's mind. Was I not acting natural enough? Suddenly, Hua Xian slung an arm around Wu Yan's shoulders, leaning in to whisper, "Honestly, are you this down because you're completely spent after last night? You're quite the ladies' man. So, is everyone this naive and childish in their youth? Is this what the blissful feeling of youth is all about?" Wu Yan breathed a sigh of relief, forcing a laugh. "No, not at all. I just wanted to talk to her about a few things. We were just playfully messing around. It's a pure and innocent relationship. Don't talk nonsense. Class is about to start. Be quiet." Inwardly, Wu Yan told himself, "From now on, when interacting with others in this youthful form, I must be careful with every action and every word. The school's organizing a spring outing the day after tomorrow. It seems we'll be spending the night outdoors. You know what I mean?" Wu Yan blurted out, "Yeah. If you miss this opportunity, I think your chances will be even slimmer." But just a few seconds later, Wu Yan suddenly remembered something. Shun Mei Youchuan's expression turned grave, a flicker of worry in her eyes. In his past life, Hua Xian had met a tragic end during this spring outing, perishing in a foreign land. Wu Yan still vividly remembered the horrific scene, every detail etched into his memory. A monstrous creature, taking the grotesque form of a gigantic flower, used its deadly vines to wreak havoc, leaving a trail of death and destruction. Amidst the chaos, Hua Xian was struck by a falling boulder, the injury so severe that he couldn't move. Wu Yan, Hua Xian, and Yang Yanmo all looked towards Wu Yan, their eyes filled with desperate pleas for help. Note, this line seems to have a mistake, repeating Wu Yan twice, assuming it should mention Yang Yanmo and Hua Xian looking at Wu Yan. But tragically, the monster spotted him and swiftly impaled him with its sharp vines, brutally ending Hua Xian's life. Back in the present, Wu Yan chewed on his pen, lost in thought. He rapidly analyzed the situation, searching for a solution. Right now, he couldn't reveal the impending tragedy that awaited them in 2 days. Firstly, they likely wouldn't believe his warning. Secondly, even if they did, it would undoubtedly cause unnecessary panic. And then, everything would spiral into chaos, becoming even more difficult to control. "Brother, did you just say you wanted to learn from me? Did I hear that right, Wu Yan?" Wu Yan startled, his eyes widening in surprise as he looked at Hua Xian. "Why are you staring at me like that? Is something wrong? You're holding your book upside down," Hua Xian said with a teasing smile. Wu Yan quickly flipped the book around, stammering, "I was studying, really. I'm a bit busy the day after tomorrow. After I take care of things, how about we hang out?" Just then, Xiaoying pushed open the classroom door and entered. As she walked past Wu Yan, she couldn't help but chide. "You pervert. You were a bit too excited last night. Couldn't control yourself. Huh?" As Wu Yan cringed, remembering last night's events, a cute pink lunchbox suddenly appeared in front of him. "Your parents called me. They said they'll be back next Tuesday. They're worried about you eating instant noodles all the time. It's not healthy, so they asked me to bring you lunch for a few days. Don't get the wrong idea. I just don't want your parents to worry. It's not for you or anything. Xiaoying blushed, mumbling her explanation. Wu Yan accepted the lunchbox, a grateful smile spreading across his face. I know. Thank you so much. Seizing the opportunity, Hua Xian playfully teased Xiaoying. If you ever get married to Wu Yan, you'll definitely become a virtuous mother, a capable and resourceful wife. Marry him? In your dreams. He's a lecher. Class is about to start, you two better get going. Xiaoying turned and went back to her seat. Looks like you really made her mad. Love me, love my dog, hate me, hate my whole family. Your family's telling me to look out for myself. Stop staring at my lunchbox. When you two get married, I'll let you eat until you're sick of it. Wu Yan chimed in. If you're jealous, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. I'll definitely find you a girl you like. Hua Xian burst out laughing. Nah, forget it. I enjoy the single life, free and unfettered, in my own little world. The two friends continued to joke around until the bell rang, signaling the start of class. As the teacher lectured passionately, Wu Yan stared blankly out the window, despondency clouding his features. Suddenly, a strange streak of light caught his eye, plummeting from the vast expanse of the sky. More and more luminous streaks followed, like a shower of falling stars. Earth-shattering explosions accompanied the spectacle, echoing through the air. The deafening roar startled the students in the classroom, sending shivers down their spines. Panic and astonishment filled their faces. Every eye turned towards the window, searching for the source of the terrifying noise. What was that? Did you guys hear that? One student asked nervously. It sounded like explosions. Huge explosions, another replied. Look, it seems to be coming from the east side of the city, a terrified voice exclaimed. What's happening? This can't be. A student mumbled, his face etched with confusion. It's not time yet. There can't be any mistakes. Wu Yan thought, a sense of unease gripping his heart. A vague premonition of danger washed over him. Wu Yan decided he had to investigate for himself. He dashed out of the classroom and raced up to the building's rooftop. There, he used his magic to transform himself back into his star-killer form. No one will recognize me like this, he muttered to himself. With a light spring, he leaped from building to building with breathtaking speed. They soon arrived at the site where the anomaly had appeared at dawn. A spatial gate was wide open, radiating a terrifying energy. From within, countless ferocious monsters poured out, sowing death and destruction everywhere. Why has humanity's annihilation come so soon? The newly emerged monsters attacked with a frenzied rage, as if driven by a primal fury. They ravaged everything in sight, leaving no living creature spared. In the blink of an eye, a once prosperous and magnificent city was engulfed in a raging inferno. Flames roared, consuming everything in their path. The agonizing screams of the people echoed through the air, filled with pain and despair. They arrived earlier than expected. But I am no longer the weak Wu Yan from 65 years ago, the powerless fool who couldn't protect anything. With that thought, Wu Yan clenched his fists, gritting his teeth with a furious roar. Who am I? I am the one born to destroy the Death Star. Unexpectedly, someone in this world knows my title. The Death Star emerged from the spatial gate, radiating a terrifying aura. He let out a sinister, chilling laugh and asked, Who are you? I'm your grandpa, Wu Yan replied with a bored expression. Sha Xing's face contorted in a grimace of displeasure. He swiftly gathered his demonic energy, unleashing a torrent of dark power towards Wu Yan. Sha Xing was certain that after this devastating attack, Wu Yan would be reduced to ashes. But to his astonishment, when the dust settled, he saw Wu Yan standing defiantly, completely unharmed. Wu Yan had even closed the distance, standing mere inches from Sha Xing. Whatever hell you crawled out of, get back to it, Wu Yan growled. With that, Wu Yan unleashed a thunderous punch, sending Sha Xing flying deep into the spatial gate. Sha Xing wiped a smear of blood from his lip, his eyes wide with terror. He stared at the strange purple liquid clinging to his hand, realizing with horror it was his own blood. Bleeding, me, be consumed by eternal darkness, Wu Yan declared coldly. While Sha Xing was still reeling from the shock, Wu Yan gathered the remainder of his strength, determined to seal the spatial gate. Witnessing Wu Yan's actions, Sha Xing was filled with disbelief and confusion. He intends to close the void gate with his bare hands? Insane. That wicked flame. It must be closed. At all costs, Wu Yan thought to himself. With a ferocious roar, Wu Yan poured every ounce of his being into the effort. As expected, the power began to force the spatial gate closed. Despite the imminent danger, Sha Xing showed no signs of resistance. He seemed utterly unconcerned. Wu Yan even caught a glimpse of a cryptic smile playing on his lips. Just before the void gate slammed shut, having neutralized the threat from the Void Realm portal, Wu Yan turned his attention back to the monsters that had emerged from the spatial rift. This time, with just a few basic moves, he effortlessly dispatched them all. Their souls were bound and dragged down to hell to face judgment before Yama. Finally, it was over. The protracted battle had reached its conclusion, and order began to restore itself. Although Sha Xing's descent had occurred earlier than anticipated, fortunately, it had only caused temporary chaos and had ultimately been resolved without any severe consequences. Xiao Ying's parents and everyone around him were safe and unharmed. At last, Wu Yan could fully embrace the carefree days of his 15 years. After the terrifying events of the previous day, the school decided to give the students a 3-day break. This was a precious opportunity for Wu Yan to gather his thoughts. With that, Wu Yan retrieved the Galaxy Magic Cube from his spatial storage. This time-reversing stone couldn't erase the power that had fused with his soul, nor could it strip him of his achievements or the experiences he'd gained. It could only return him to the appearance of a teenager, while sealing away all of his current abilities. If that's the case, it seems, for the time being, I am the only person in the world with supernatural powers? How intriguing! Xiao Ying's image suddenly flashed through Wu Yan's mind, bringing a smile to his face. Hee, with this power, it seems I can cause quite a bit of mischief. Pushing those devious thoughts aside, Wu Yan used the Galaxy Magic Cube to open the inventory he had accumulated over time. He recalled the spoils of war taken from the Death Star Lord and his disciples, an immeasurable bounty, 10 shimmering purple magic stones, 200 emerald green magic stones, and 10,000 pristine white magic stones. He hadn't expected this final god-level instance to yield such generous rewards. However, these were all useless to him now. What a shame. He would keep them as mementos of his fallen comrades. Wu Yan had just put away the Xinghe magic cube when a rapid knock echoed on the door. It was Hua Xian, his close friend. Wu Yan barely opened the door before Hua Xian burst in, his excitement bubbling over. "Quick," he urged, "turn on your computer." "What's the rush? Did something big happen? Haven't you been online?" Wu Yan asked, puzzled. "The internet's exploding," Hua Xian exclaimed. "This is huge. I'm telling you, absolutely insane. Top-tier stuff." Hua Xian rushed over to Wu Yan's computer setup, his fingers flying across the keyboard and mouse. Moments later, he showed Wu Yan a video. Pointing at the screen, Hua Xian exclaimed, "Dude, doesn't this old guy look absolutely badass? Man, this is the stuff of dreams. I can't believe this is actually happening in real life." Wu Yan still had no clue what was going on, but the moment he glanced at the video, his expression changed drastically. In the search bar, the simple phrase "mysterious old man" had yielded a video with a shocking title, "Mysterious Old Man Battles Extraterrestrial Being." It was a recording of the Star Killer engaged in combat. "I'm totally crushing these monsters. Damn it, I'm being recorded." Wu Yan cursed under his breath. Aliens attacked Earth, and he single-handedly sent them packing back to their own planet. Now, everyone on social media is trying to track him down. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have sworn it was a scene from a movie. Wu Yan, do you believe that extraordinary powers actually exist in this world? Hua Xian exclaimed with a look of awe. Wu Yan chuckled and replied, "Aliens? I didn't see anything. I thought it was just a gas pipeline explosion." Do you know what this means? This proves that, for sure, there are other people in the world with special superpowers. Maybe even you and I have superpowers. Hey, normally, you're obsessed with superpowers and the supernatural, right? Why are you so calm today? Wu Yan stammered, "And no, I'm not." I was so stunned I froze, completely speechless and unable to react. Hua Xian found the answer quite convincing, so he continued questioning without a shred of doubt. "Hey, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? I've never thought about something that far-fetched. It's impossible. Why not? You saw it with your own eyes. That old man is living proof. I bet those aliens will definitely come back." Just then, suddenly, Hua Xian's eyes took on a mischievous glint, gazing off into the distance with a shady look. Seeing this, Wu Yan chimed in, reminding Xian Z with a disgusted expression. "Your expression is so pervy. Wipe the drool off your chin." Lewd images flooded Hua Xian's mind, causing him to have a nosebleed. What a pervert. "I've decided. I want the power to stop time." "Figures," Wu Yan said with a look of disdain. Hu Tan clapped Wu Yen on the shoulder with a brotherly air, his voice booming with bravado. Brother, if I had such extraordinary abilities, I would definitely help you and Xiao Ying achieve your heart's desires. For my brothers, for my friends, I would gladly lay down my life. There's no need for that, Wu Yen replied softly. I prefer things to unfold naturally. Let nature take its course. This Friday, let's go on a spring outing. I'll show you what I can do, Hu Tan declared confidently. The words spring outing had barely left Hu Tan's lips when a chilling image flashed through Wu Yan's mind. Hu Tan, brutally murdered by a demon. The horrific vision sent shivers down his spine. No, that will never happen again. It's all over now, Wu Yen thought to himself, then clapped Hu Tan on the shoulder reassuringly. Forget it, I don't want Xiao Ying to come after me. Hu Tan burst out laughing, giving him a playful wink. The day of the spring outing arrived. Before the students disembarked, their teacher sternly instructed, "Everyone, please register for your accommodations promptly. You are free to do as you please for the rest of the day. Tomorrow morning at 8:30 sharp, assemble in the common hall. Is that clear?" "Yes, sir," the students replied in unison, quickly dispersing to their respective rooms. On the way, Hu Xian started teasing Wu Yen again. "Why was Xiao Ying so cold to you today? Did she ignore you completely?" Hu Xian asked with a chuckle. "Looks like you really upset her last time." "None of your business, kid," Wu Yen retorted. "You got what you wanted, didn't you? Otherwise, she wouldn't be mad at you for so long." Wu Yen sighed and shook his head. "Your mind is filled with nothing but dirty, perverted thoughts. Leave some space for your brain to actually function." As he spoke, Wu Yen frowned and swiped his card to open the door. No more space left. He ran straight to the bed and sprawled out comfortably. Then, with a mischievous look, Hu Xian turned to watch Wu Yen unpack. "I know what you're hiding in that suitcase." Hu Xian winked. "I know everything. It's just us two here. Why so secretive?" Wu Yen sighed in exasperation. "You always act like you know everything, but compared to you, my skills are merely at a student's level." "Hiding what?" Wu Yen looked puzzled, only understanding Hu Xian's meaning a moment later. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Youthful recklessness. Wasn't he himself a bit of a scoundrel back in the day? "In my opinion, we should enjoy life while we're young. Once we get caught up in the grind, young people from our background will all become corporate cogs. By then, we'll come home from work exhausted every day, so tired we'll just want to lie down, our minds completely blank. We won't have the energy to think about anything else. What's the point of overthinking it? Just surviving and making it to this day is lucky enough." Wu Yen replied with a smile, then went to boil some water and make himself a cup of hot tea. "Oh right, let's invite Xiao Ying to go hiking with us later. Hiking is good for the cardiovascular and respiratory systems." Hu Xian glanced at the teacup in Wu Yan's hand, his eyes filled with suspicion. "Hey Wu Yen," he began. "Lately, you've been giving off some serious old man vibes. I have to admit your aura is totally like that superpowered grandpa who's been trending online. And it's not just the prematurely aged look, even your mannerisms are spot on, just like that old guy." Wu Yan's heart pounded in his chest, anxiety gnawing at him. Fortunately, Hu Xian was preoccupied with his own lewd, lascivious thoughts, so he didn't dig any deeper into the matter. A moment later, Hu Xian shifted gears, rambling about random topics, eventually landing on Wu Yen and Xiao Ying's relationship. He even offered, in a seemingly generous gesture, a box of American ginseng for Wu Yan's health. And what that health boost was for, well, everyone knew. Wink wink. Just then, Xiao Ying arrived, inviting them both for a hike. Hu Xian, naturally, couldn't pass up this golden opportunity, and immediately began teasing the lovebirds. "You two lovebirds want to go for a walk together?" The result infuriated Xiao Ying and her husband. "Do you want a beating?" she snapped. "It's going to happen sooner or later anyway, so shut up," Wu Yen retorted. "I can leave at any time." As he finished speaking, Wu Yen stepped closer to Xiao Ying. Xiao Ying asked, blushing, "What's with that look in your eyes? Why are you looking at me like that?" she wondered. "I just want to verify something," Wu Yen replied. Before Xiao Ying could react, Wu Yen swiftly moved behind her. Xiao Ying instinctively sat down, her eyes glancing towards her own behind. Then, she sighed in disappointment. "I guessed wrong. Girls these days are nothing compared to my time. What is he talking about? This lecher?" Wu Yen thought to himself. Xiao Ying, enraged, slapped Wu Yen hard across the face. She spun around and stormed off, still fuming. Damn it, seeing such a short skirt, it was just instinct, Wu Yen muttered to himself. While Wu Yen was berating himself, Huaxian burst out laughing. Why pretend to be so righteous, Wu Yen? It's pointless. Just be true to yourself, like me. Wu Yen clutched his swollen cheek, sighing inwardly. Fine, fine. I was such an idiot when I was younger. For the rest of the arduous climb, Xiaoying maintained her icy demeanor, forging ahead, without uttering a single word to the two men trailing behind her. Her silence made Wu Yen fidgety and anxious. He turned to Huaxian. Do girls this age usually sulk for so long? Oh, quite a while. Isn't it always like this? Wu Yen let out a long sigh. Ugh, I'm getting old. I can't understand these kids anymore. Nowadays, it's all blue and white uniforms. Back in my day, so many beautiful girls were by my side. Seeing the lecherous look on Wu Yan's face, Huaxian clapped him on the shoulder. Hey, what are you daydreaming about? Think of a way to coax Yingying. The low pressure's been so thick I haven't dared to speak loudly. Wu Yen snapped out of it and hurried after Xiaoying. Xiaoying, Yingying. Yingying. Xiaoying turned, scoffed, and continued walking. Noticing Wu Yen closing in, Xiaoying quickened her pace, practically breaking into a run. Leave me alone, she cried out. Just let me explain. Please don't go. Wu Yen pleaded. Left with no other choice, Xiaoying started to run. Suddenly, she tripped over a rock, stumbling and losing her balance. Seeing Xiaoying about to fall, Wu Yen reacted instinctively, launching himself forward with a powerful leap. In the blink of an eye, he was by Xiaoying's side. He caught her just in time before she plummeted to the ground. It all happened so fast, leaving both Huaxian and Xiaoying stunned, their eyes wide with disbelief. You jumped all the way from there? Huoxin stamped. I guess, I did. Wu Yen himself seemed surprised. Wu Yen released Xiaoying, still a bit flustered. Holy crap, dude. You not being in the Olympics for long jump is a serious loss for the country. Xiaoying was still in awe. That was amazing. How did you do that? I don't know. It just happened. Wu Yen scratched his head, chuckling sheepishly. Humanity's potential is limitless, far surpassing any boundaries we can imagine. While Wu Yen was lost in anxious contemplation, Xiaoying suddenly called out to him and Huaxian. What is it, Yingying? Something wrong. Xiaoying pointed towards the dense forest. Look, there's a light coming from over there. With just a glance, Wu Yen immediately recognized the light. He couldn't help but gasp in astonishment. How is that possible? No way. Why is there a dungeon portal here? I already drove the demonic clan back to their own world. Just as he thought that, a flash of lightning struck Wu Yan's mind, a folktale suddenly coming to him. The legendary mystic was very young. He was known as Earth's first hunter. After he defeated the Demon Lord was permanently sealed in his own world. But not long after, otherworldly gates began to periodically appear all over Earth. From then on, humanity began to awaken, developing special abilities. Could it be, I'm the one from the legend? Impossible. So, it's not over yet. No, this can't be happening. The legendary figure, they're supposed to be young. Wu Yen clutched his head, muttering incomprehensible words under his breath. Xiaoying watched him, a growing unease creeping into her heart. Wu Yen, what's wrong? What's the matter? He looked at her, his mind a whirlwind of confusion and panic. The gate to the perilous dungeon loomed before them. History was about to repeat itself, a tragic echo of the past. Even if he remained silent, the very fabric of society would soon be irrevocably altered. But he couldn't reveal this horrifying truth, not yet. Just then, Huaxian, a thoughtful expression on his face, observed the strange spatial gate. He speculated, could this be a gateway to another dimension? Another world beyond our own? Perhaps we should go inside. It's the only way to know for sure. Wu Yen frantically searched for a way to get Huaxian and Xiaoying away from the impending danger. So, you want us to go back? Go back and find your teacher, while you stay here and guard this thing alone? It'll be fine, don't worry. If anything weird happens, I promise I'll run faster than any AI on Earth. Come on, let's go. We're just kids. We can't handle something like this. Huaxian agreed. Yeah, Yingying, let's get out of here. Let's go and come back quickly. Leaving him here to watch over things shouldn't be a problem. Xiaoying felt somewhat reassured by his words, and quickly left with Huaxian. Once he was alone, facing the portal, Wu Yen transformed into the Great Slayer and stepped through the dimensional gateway. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. Across the globe, portals leading to dungeons began to appear one after another. These dungeons would reset periodically after a certain amount of time. The energy harvested from within the dungeons gradually replaced traditional energy sources, and as a result, society underwent a massive transformation. Inside the bustling entrance exam registration hall, Xiaoying suddenly recalled Mr. S's impassioned speech. She pictured Mr. S, fist raised high with unwavering determination, declaring, "I absolutely must get into Zero Academy, no matter the cost. I have to. Only then will I have a chance to see Mr. S at the opening ceremony. But what should I do? Right now, I feel like the distance between myself and the hero who saved the world has never been so close." Standing beside her, Wu Yen quietly observed Xiaoying. He remained silent, his gaze fixated on the girl clutching a photo of her idol to her chest. A sense of unease settled over Wu Yen. Mr. S was the founder of the renowned Supernatural Ability Academy and the First Hunters Guild. He had guided and trained countless awakened and talented hunters. Initially, to expedite the establishment of the school and the guild, Wu Yen had been forced to collaborate with the media. This was a double-edged sword. The biggest drawback was inadvertently becoming a public idol. Want to hear a story about Mr. S? Xiaoying wrapped her arms around Wu Yan's neck, asking in a soft, whiny voice, "You've said this so much, my ears are starting to wear out." Wu Yen pushed Xiaoying away, frustration evident on his face, and retorted, "If only you had even 1% of Master S's power, I wouldn't have to worry about you so much." Thinking of her idol, Xiaoying sighed deeply. Master S hasn't made many public appearances lately. He must be very busy with important responsibilities. I really don't want to take the Heterogeneous Ability Academy entrance exam. How about you let me study at a regular university instead? The heterogeneous ability I awakened can't be measured. I'm 100% certain I'll fail the entrance exam. So, wouldn't taking the exam just be a waste of time? Xiaoying pouted, expressing her disagreement. That's because your ability is special. I think if you just explain it to the examiner, you'll definitely be directly admitted. Your replication ability has immense hidden potential. I'm afraid of society. Wu Yen sighed, offering a ridiculous excuse. That reason, of course, wasn't enough to convince Xiaoying to let him off the hook. Come on, let's go inside. Xiaoying pulled Wu Yen along, her words a relentless stream of persuasion. Your aunt and uncle are hoping you can pass the entrance exam to the prestigious Kong Kong Academy. This is your chance to bring honor to your ancestors, to glorify your family name. You can't let down their expectations, you can't disappoint them. I can't even remember my great-grandfather's name, so what honor am I supposed to bring? To whom? The thought of burying himself in books as Wu Yen, while also shouldering the responsibilities of Lord S, drowning in paperwork, filled Wu Yen with panic. He desperately searched for a solution. He decided to take a risk and tell the truth. Seeing that the forceful approach wasn't working, Xiaoying switched tactics, opting for a gentler, more enticing strategy. If you pass this entrance exam, Xiaoying leaned in, whispering a secret into Wu Yan's ear. No one knew what she said, but Wu Yen suddenly did a complete 180. He immediately agreed to take the entrance exam. After Wu Yen and Xiaoying finished filling out their personal information on the application forms, the receptionist announced the examination procedures and schedule. Official enrollment will begin in 2 months. After completing registration, you'll both receive a confirmation email. I'd also like to give you both a small gift. It's a special bonus for early bird registrants, a Mr. S keychain. I wish you both the best of luck on your exams. Well, that's what I'm supposed to say. But whose bright idea was this keychain anyway? Wu Yen shot the keychain a disdainful look, mentally deducting salaries. He glanced at Xiaoying and found her passionately smooching the Mr. S keychain, repeatedly, with gusto. It was a chibi version of himself, sure. But why did he feel strangely cuckolded? At the Federation Guild headquarters, Fu Ning, the guild's administrative officer and the senior secretary to the S-rank Awakened, possessing enhanced cognitive abilities, carefully placed a thick stack of documents on Mr. S's desk. Mr. S. This is a dungeon assessment report from the European Hunters Association. Please review and process it within 3 days. Recently, an A-rank traditional dungeon gate appeared in Area A. As of now, Neither the government nor the Hunters Association has dispatched any hunters to explore it. They await your decision. Mr. S, looking haggard and drained, his eyes dark and sunken like a panda's, glanced wearily at Fu Ning. Fu Ning, I think my kidneys are failing. I need some serious nourishment. Fu Ning smiled and placed a box of kidney treasure on Mr. S's desk. After all, I'm just a regular old man. Fu Ning offered. If you agree to double my current salary, I'll gladly handle all this paperwork for you. What are you getting at, young mistress? If I recall correctly, your current monthly salary is 100,000 mon. Every month, you receive a substantial raise. Your awakened ability is just for scamming money? Wu Yan exclaimed indignantly. Fu Ning calmly used her ability, applying gentle pressure. So, are you going to give me a raise or not? If not, I'm afraid it will take you 17 days and 5 hours 37 minutes to complete the assigned workload. Wu Yan grimaced, resigning himself to the inevitable. Fine, I agree. With his confirmation, Fu Ning activated her text processing ability. The mountain of documents was instantly organized. Everything was completed in the blink of an eye. Enhanced cognitive ability is truly useful, Wu Yan marveled. Boss, remember my raise? Fu Ning reminded him. Draft this report for me too. Then, plan out the next steps we need to take. Wu Yan continued to pile on requests. Inwardly, he plotted, I have to find a way to copy this girl's ability with my replication ability. You're always squeezing me for money. Well, Master S, it's my duty. Besides, there's another extremely important matter. On the 31st of next month, the end of the month, you must attend the opening ceremony, the entrance exam for Zero Academy. I'll finish the speech you need and send it to you 3 days in advance. Absolutely no more being late. Last year's entrance exam, you were half an hour late. I had to struggle to explain to the media. The higher the position, the more cautious one must be in their words and actions. You are the role model for this entire new world. Maintain your image in the public eye. Wu Yan waves his hand. I know. Still so young yet you nag so much. I have some personal matters to attend to. Fu Ning understands and immediately withdraws. Only then does Wu Yan revert to his teenage appearance. Taking a deep breath to compose himself, Wu Yan finally answered Xiao Ying's call. What took you so long to pick up, silly? I'm playing Escape Room 7 with some friends. The signal's terrible here. I almost couldn't get through. Anyway, oh, by the way, that outfit you're wearing looks way too baggy. Next time, pick a character costume that actually fits you. Or, maybe work out and get a bit more muscular, huh? Come home as soon as you're done playing. We're having hot pot tonight. I'm getting everything ready now. Okay. Gotta go, bye. After hanging up, a wave of melancholy washed over Wu Yan. He sighed deeply. I should probably find a good time to explain everything. With such a huge age gap, being clinged to by a little girl like that, it's just embarrassing. But, on second thought, maybe it's not so bad. At least Ying is alive and growing up. I'll just go with the flow. It's a bit tiring, but it's okay. Honestly, I'm pretty excited myself. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, it was the entrance exam day for the renowned Zero Academy. Wow, this year, the number of applicants was significantly higher than last year's. Xiaoying looked around, then exclaimed excitedly, well, the academy has been established for 4 years now. Its reputation has spread far and wide. Be careful, don't bump into anyone, Wu Yan reminded her. Wu Yan. As soon as she finished speaking, Xiaoying accidentally bumped into someone. Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me, I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings. Are you all right? The young man Xiaoying had bumped into mumbled a reply and quickly ran off, embarrassed. His reaction made Xiaoying giggle. See, that's what you call socially awkward. I'm not socially awkward, I'm outgoing and friendly. Hurry up and save me a seat inside. I need to use the restroom. A moment later, Xiaoying glanced at her watch impatiently. The ceremony's about to begin. Where is that boy? On the podium, Fu Ning beamed, her voice clear and bright as she announced, Dear candidates, the orientation for the upcoming entrance exam will officially begin in 5 minutes. Please maintain order and quickly find your seats. Hearing this, Xiaoying felt a surge of anxiety. Oh no! If we wait until the opening ceremony to dawdle to our seats, it'll definitely make a bad impression. What's that clumsy oaf doing? Just then, Mr. S suddenly appeared. Fu Ning looked at Mr. S with approval and a hint of relief. Thank goodness you're not late this time, Mr. S. Well done. But why are you drenched in sweat? Probably because I'm wearing too many layers. Wu Yen thought to himself, adding silently, of course I'm sweating buckets. I had to secretly change in the restroom, then sprint all the way here. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, you know. I'm getting old. Looking sharp. You got this. Just a few minutes. Funing urged Wu Yen forward. Wu Yen strode confidently onto the stage, amidst the thunderous applause and cheers of the crowd in the vast auditorium. Just as Wu Yen was about to begin his speech, his eyes met Xiao Ying's, who was waving enthusiastically from the audience. In that instant, every word, every thought he had prepared vanished like smoke. Fu Ning watched Mr. S frozen on the podium, speechless, and couldn't help but silently criticize him. Why isn't he saying anything? Don't tell me he forgot his speech. This guy, Mr. S, at this moment. Wu Yen took a deep breath, facing the expectant gazes of hundreds. Then suddenly, with a burst of energy, he declared, "Good luck on your exams, everyone." A stunned silence fell over the auditorium. Then, a smattering of applause broke out, and like a tsunami, the entire hall erupted in thunderous applause, celebrating the shortest speech in history. A single, decisive word, starting with S, from the powerful figure. After the grand ceremony concluded, Wu Yen finally made a leisurely entrance. This act infuriated Xiao Ying, her anger practically setting her hair on fire. She pinched his ear hard, her voice sharp with accusation. "Where did you disappear to just now? I saw that the important announcement had already started. I felt too awkward to go in, so I just waited outside. Don't be mad at me anymore. Don't they say nature calls sometimes?" Seeing Wu Yan's genuinely apologetic expression, Xiao Ying's anger gradually dissipated. However, she maintained a stern facade, saying, "Our exam numbers are consecutive. We'll probably be assigned to the same testing location. You better not do poorly on the exam. Show everyone your extraordinary ability, that amazing 5-meter jump of yours. Examinees with numbers 121 and 122, please proceed to the inspection area." "That's us. Come on, let's go," Xiao Ying urged, guiding Wu Yen towards the inspection platform. "Let your arms hang naturally, eyes straight ahead." Tablet in hand, the examiner called for the next candidate. Xiao Ying confidently stepped onto the platform for her ability assessment. After a series of tests and data analysis, the examiner announced Xiao Ying's results. "Xiao Ying, you have awakened a mid-tier 3-star ability." Incredulous, Xiao Ying gasped. "Mid-tier 3-star? I really have a mid-tier 3-star ability." Overwhelmed with joy, she whooped and jumped for joy. The examiner turned his attention to Wu Yen. "You are Wu Yen, correct? Have you not yet awakened an ability?" His voice took on a sterner tone. "If you haven't awakened an ability, I would strongly advise against participating in the entrance exam." He elaborated, "This exam presents significant dangers and could have dire consequences for those without awakened abilities." Wu Yen stammered, secretly elated. Are you saying I should withdraw from the exam?" He thought to himself, "It's best if they disqualify me. That way, I won't have to worry about transforming anymore." Just as Wu Yen was plotting his smooth escape, Xiao Ying grabbed his shirt, stopping him in his tracks. She eagerly addressed the examiner. "Sir, he possesses the replication ability, but he lacks any primary ability." Xiao Ying speculated, "Perhaps because of this, so that's it. The replication ability truly is an incredibly rare and special power." The examiner thought to himself, a flicker of worry and unease rising within him. He hadn't expected a candidate with such a unique awakened ability to appear in this exam. A candidate possessing the rare replication ability. However, previous candidates who awakened this ability only reached a low-level 3 stars. Strange. After a moment of deep contemplation, the examiner finally made his decision. "Very well, you have passed this test. Please proceed to the next stage of the examination." Wu Yen felt a stabbing pain in his chest, tears streaming down his face. He forced a weak smile, replying, "Yes, Examiner Xiao Ying." Xiao Ying and Wu Yen descended from the testing platform, making way for the next candidate to step up. Candidate number 123, unexpectedly, was the shy young man Xiao Ying had accidentally bumped into on her way there. The moment he set foot on the platform, a few young men started pointing and whispering amongst themselves. "Isn't he Li Kerson's useless, good-for-nothing younger brother? He really only has 1 star. With only 1 star, even if he gets into the academy, he'll just end up at the bottom of the class. My older sister is a remarkable genius, but I'm considered a useless, good-for-nothing younger brother. Is there even a proper technique for being born? Wu Yan overheard the whispers of the young men and thought to himself, I don't recall ever setting things up this way. I need to have Fu Ning investigate this thoroughly. Hey there. Xiao Ying approached Li Cadet and started a conversation. You're that shy guy from earlier, aren't you? It is you, right? Li Cadet removed his headphones and replied, I didn't realize you were contestant number 123. We might be in the same examination room. I'm afraid I won't pass. If I fail, I'll definitely shame my sister. Xiao Ying smiled, offering him encouragement. Don't be so pessimistic. What's so bad about being a 1-star? A 1-star is just the lowest awakened level. There's no future in it. No one has ever heard of a 1-star surpassing a 3-star. I think I should just give up now. The Royal Academy doesn't just accept those with awakened abilities. If you possess other special talents, you still have a chance to be directly admitted. In short, don't be discouraged. Just give it your best shot. Wu Yan clapped Li Kuda on the shoulder, offering words of encouragement. Right, kid? Even that guy without a single power star doesn't seem the least bit bothered. Li Kuda's face was etched with surprise. No star? He hasn't awakened any ability? Wu Yan chuckled. You could say he has. It's the power of replication. Isn't this Li Kerson's younger brother? You still need to take the entrance exam. Couldn't you just get your sister to pull some strings and get you in? Ouyang Wei appeared unexpectedly, swaggering over with 2 lackeys in tow. He wasted no time in launching a sarcastic jab at Li Kuda. His 2 cronies joined in, their laughter filled with mockery. The esteemed eldest daughter of the Li family is far too busy to care about her useless younger brother. What else could it be? It's truly humiliating to have such a useless younger brother. We should draw a clear line with him, the other one chimed in. Oh Yang Wei, I don't want any trouble with you.
Hearing Li Kuda's words, Oh Yang Wei
exploded in rage, grabbing Li Kuda by the collar. You punk! What did you just say? Speak up, I can't hear you. Let go of me.
Li Kuda yelled.
Li Kuda cried out in fear, seeing that Oh Yang Wei still wouldn't let go. Xiao Ying couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward, shoving him away. I said let him go, she shouted. With just a gentle push from Xiao Ying, Ouyang Wei went flying. Luckily, 2 of his lackeys caught him in time, preventing him from getting hurt. You woman, do you know who I am? How dare you push me? I just need to say one word, and you'll never set foot in Skyless Academy again. No, what AI are you? Before Xiao Ying could finish, Wu Yan stepped forward, directly questioning, which AI are you? Which family do you belong to? The Ouyang family, right? I have a vague recollection. Who is this little punk? Ouyang Wei said with disdain. Trying to play the hero and save the damsel? Meddling in other people's business. I advise you to know your place and not overestimate your abilities. Get lost and don't bother us. Wu Yan casually put his hands in his pockets and replied with a smile, Me, I'm just an ordinary student here to take the entrance exam. Is that so? Ouyang Wei scoffed. Everyone's here to take the exam. It seems we're rivals then, participating in the same exam. I'll see you in the examination hall. Ouyang Wei gave a knowing smile, then turned and left. Li Kuda watched him go, his voice filled with worry as he warned. I'm sure he won't let this go. He'll find a way to get back at us. You 2 didn't have to help me just now, Xiao Ying said. Honestly, the worst he could have done was yell at me, but he wouldn't dare do anything too outrageous. Fine, we'll see each other at the exam then. Let's see who's afraid of who. Xiao Ying deliberately raised her voice, loud enough for Ouyang Wei to hear every word. Then, she turned to Li Kuda, comforting him. What gives him the right to yell at you? It's completely unacceptable. Despicable, vile people like him exist everywhere. Don't be afraid of him. There's no need to cower. Li Kuda spoke apologetically. I'm sorry everyone. It's all my fault. I've dragged you all into this. Ouyang Wei is the young master of the Ouyang family, a prestigious clan. His family wields considerable influence in this school. He's also a core member of the Education Council and holds a permanent position on the board. Even if we pass this exam, we'll still be a thorn in his side. Xiao Ying patted Li Kuda's shoulder reassuringly. Don't worry, keep moving forward, and there will always be a path ahead. Let's go. It's time to prepare for the exam. Wu Yan urged them on. He silently committed the name Ouyang family to memory. The 3 quickly made their way to the entrance of the maze. They were about to embark on the next test. The time limit for this exam was 30 minutes. Exceed the time limit and fail to escape the maze, consider the mission a failure. Countless dangerous traps lie hidden within the maze, requiring you to find your own way out. Is everyone ready to face the challenge? The countdown will begin in 15 seconds. Be careful, Wu Yan. Don't make any mistakes at this crucial moment. Xiaoying warned Wu Yan in a serious tone. Then, she suddenly turned to Li Cadet, a bright smile like the morning sun blooming on her face. Good luck. I'll do my best. Li Cadet replied softly, his voice hesitant.
Li Cadet responda SHYLY.
Ao Yangwei stood beside them, observing everything with a knowing smirk. It seemed that, in his mind, he was harboring a sinister plot. Start the timer. Hearing the command, Wu Yan strode into the maze. Maybe I should take a little break? If I take the shortcut, it should only take about 5 minutes to get out of here. After all, I designed this maze myself. A sudden idea flashed in Wu Yan's mind. But I'm truly eager to observe the little one's performance. I want to see how she'll overcome the trials I've meticulously arranged. No sooner said than done. Wu Yan immediately flew to Xiao Ying's location. Concealing himself to observe, he saw Xiao Ying strolling leisurely, taking in the surrounding scenery as she walked. She even whistled cheerfully, appearing completely relaxed. Witnessing this, Wu Yan couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed in the little girl. Shouldn't she at least show a little bit of tension? This test wasn't easy to overcome after all. Just then, a terrifying roar ripped through the quiet air. A colossal monster suddenly leaped over the high wall, charging straight towards where Xiao Ying stood. With lightning-fast reflexes, Xiao Ying instantly jumped to the side, successfully dodging the monster's surprise attack. A cunning smile played on her lips, like a seasoned hunter laying a trap for prey in a labyrinth. Xiao Ying swiftly activated her skill. She discreetly placed a seal beneath her feet. Then, she waved at the monster, provoking it. Do you dare come here? The monster roared furiously, charging towards Xiao Ying without hesitation. With a deft backward leap, the ferocious monster fell right into Xiao Ying's trap. The powerful binding spell completely immobilized it, rendering it helpless. The fatal weakness of strength-type magical beasts was their limited intellect, their shockingly low IQ. They were easily provoked, their rage ignited by the slightest taunts. Confronting a strength-type magical beast head-on in a one-on-one battle was definitely not the optimal strategy. Xiao Ying stood confidently before the trapped monster, her voice ringing with assurance. From his vantage point atop the high wall, Wu Yan observed intently, witnessing the entirety of Xiao Ying's battle. He couldn't help but feel a surge of pride, nodding in satisfaction. Truly an exceptional student, her abilities were remarkable. It seemed that she had thoroughly studied and mastered every detail of the basic curriculum he had previously compiled. Ying's side seems a bit boring now, doesn't it? He thought to himself. The position of elite student was practically guaranteed to be hers. Just then, a deafening explosion erupted, drawing both Xiao Ying and Wu Yan's attention from the distance. Wu Yan recognized the sound as coming from the direction Li Cadet had taken into the labyrinth. Fearing the worst, Xiao Ying raced towards the source of the commotion. This girl, always sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. Wu Yuan sighed in exasperation and hurried after Xiao Ying. Meanwhile, Ouyang Wei unleashed a barrage of mana spheres, each aimed squarely at Li Cadet. He sneered. Li Cadet, you still resist? Where are your companions? Why have they abandoned you? With all this commotion, they should have heard it by now. Li Cadet struggled to deflect the attacks, replying through gritted teeth. They're just strangers. They were just passing by. They have nothing to do with me. Leave them alone. Ouyang Wei ceased his attack, his face contorted with rage. Passing by, and they just happened to be kind enough to help you? Do you think I'm a fool? Ouyang Wei, you were clearly the one who started it. She was just putting you in your place. She was simply carrying out her duties, fulfilling her responsibilities. Carrying out her duties? What's so special about that? My Ouyang family is one of the major shareholders of this guild. Her salary is paid by us. But compared to me, your older sister probably despises you even more. You know why? Because you're nothing but a talentless disgrace to our family name. Your sister awakened her powers, becoming a high-level ability user. And you're just a pathetic waste. You were once so promising, filled with so much potential, but in the end, it all amounted to nothing. We share the same blood, the same family lineage flowing through our veins. Yet why is there such a vast, insurmountable difference between us? Your sole purpose in existence is to show the world that a family capable of producing geniuses can also spawn worthless trash like you. Ouyang Wei's cruel words pierced Lee Keita's heart like daggers, making the already timid and insecure girl shrink back in fear. Terror engulfed her, stealing her breath away. Seeing Lee Keita's agony, Ouyang Wei was still not satisfied, his thirst for vengeance unquenched. He continued to gather his magical power, issuing a chilling threat. Leave on your own, or do I have to throw you out myself? I refuse to study with such useless trash. Just then, a clear voice rang out. You speak without thinking, so carelessly. The truly useless trash here is you. You're not worthy of being my classmate. You're just relying on a bit of luck, a slightly stronger awakened ability than others, and you're already so arrogant and conceited? You loudmouth. You again. Ouyang Wei glared at Xiao Ying with hostility, then laughed loudly in response. A strong awakened ability proves my superior aptitude. Someone with inferior genes like you deserves to be eliminated. Xiao Ying ignored the provocation and walked over to help Lee Keita up, asking with concern, Are you alright? Can you stand? Don't worry about me. Just go and finish the test. Xiao Ying replied confidently, I will definitely pass this test, but I refuse to study in the same place as someone like him. Xiao Ying pointed directly at him. Ouyang Wei spoke with a serious expression. In my opinion, this academy's entrance exam needs an additional assessment of moral character. We can't let any villains, any individuals with wicked intentions, infiltrate this place. Hidden in the shadows, Wu Yan hurriedly jotted down the words he'd just overheard in his small notebook. Damn it! Who does she think she is calling a viper? A furious voice erupted. Ouyang Wei's words grew increasingly impassioned, sharp as a knife. Wu Yan's anger flared as he listened. Just then, a monster suddenly appeared. It unwittingly became Wu Yan's punching bag. With a single blow, the monster vanished into thin air. Wu Yan remained nonchalant, his expression unchanged. Pathetic reflexes. Once this exam is over, he muttered, I'll have to deal with these disguised demons. Wu Yan stopped lurking in the shadows. It was time to step into the light. Ouyang, what did you just call Xiao Ying? Oh dear, another voice chimed in. Another one who wants to side with her against me? Wu Yan thought to himself. I'm so scared, he replied sarcastically. The moment Ouyang Wei finished his provocation, Wu Yan appeared before him like a bolt of lightning. Meanwhile, in the observation room, Fu Ning was closely monitoring the situation. Reacting to the sudden turn of events, he immediately ordered the technician to zoom in on monitor number 04. That was the screen tracking Wu Yan's every move. Back to the main event. After closing in on Ouyang Wei with incredible speed, Wu Yan delivered a resounding slap to his opponent's face. Not stopping there, Wu Yan followed up with a brief moral lesson. A young man should refrain from using vulgar language. Such lack of manners is truly reprehensible. That kind of talk, doesn't it deserve a slap? While Lee Keita was stunned by this culture shock, Xiao Ying held her head, muttering complaints about Wu Yan's attitude. There he goes again, acting all high and mighty, she thought with annoyance. Observing from the control room, Fu Ning couldn't help but smile in amusement at Wu Yan's lecture. The aura emanating from this young man felt strangely familiar, as if he'd encountered him somewhere before. As for Ouyang Wei, he was, after receiving a slap across the face like a bolt of lightning, he was naturally unwilling to accept defeat, his mouth still running incessantly. While spewing vicious curses, he unleashed his skills, fiercely attacking Wu Yan. As a result, he received a second resounding slap from Wu Yan. You're so young, yet you don't focus on your studies, Wu Yan said coldly. You'll face many hardships and setbacks in life when you grow up. Your foul and vulgar language needs to be corrected. Out in the wider world, no one will pamper or tolerate you. I won't forgive you so easily. Ouyang Wei roared furiously, slamming his hand onto the ground. He activated his water-style technique, his body instantly vanishing. In the next moment, he appeared behind Wu Yan, plotting to deliver a fatal blow and finish him off. But Wu Yan swiftly dodged the surprise attack. Then he used Ouyang Wei's own water-style technique to move behind him. Panikid, Ouyang treo a astikik. Lee Keita watched in astonishment as Ouyang Wei lay unconscious on a kumquat tree branch after Wu Yan's powerful kick. His jaw dropped at the unbelievable scene. Their abilities were completely evenly matched. With a single move, he took down Ouyang Wei. Wu Yen felt a growing sense of confusion and unease. Hadn't the aptitude test shown that he was only a level 0 awakened? How could he be this strong? "Hey kid, you're stealing my thunder," Xiaoying pouted, complaining. "Such impudence from a little girl. You fight so slowly, it's unbearable. Quit dawdling, the exam's almost over. Follow me." Xiaoying obediently followed behind Wu Yen. Suddenly, she remembered something and turned to say, "I'm really curious. Why couldn't the machine detect your ability? Maybe we should suggest the school get some more advanced equipment?" At the same time, Likuda stood behind them, pointing at the motionless Ouyang Wei, and asked worriedly, "So what do we do with him now?" Xiaoying smiled and replied, "He's just taking a nice nap. Don't disturb him. We need to leave here now." Wu Yen remained silent, lost in thought. Completing the maze within the time limit isn't just about observation skills. It tests quick reflexes and decisive action. This test focuses on practical combat abilities. Ouyang Wei failed here, meaning he lacks a crucial quality. Even if he somehow passed this round, he'd struggle against the ferocious demons. Likeda, hearing Xiaoying's words, felt a pang of worry. "Can we really just leave him? Are you sure about this? We're not here for a vacation. His failure might actually be for the best." Wu Yen finished, turning to leave. Seeing Xiaoying and Wu Yen depart, Likeda hesitated no longer. He decided to follow. The three left together, abandoning Ouyang Wei to his fate. Several days later, Likeda stood before his dorm room door, his heart brimming with emotion. He thought to himself, "I actually passed that grueling entrance exam. I can't believe it. I'm finally a student at this prestigious academy." Just then, Wu Yen, Likeda's dorm roommate, called out impatiently, "Keita, what are you still standing there for? Come on in." Likeda responded with a smile. "Next Monday is the opening ceremony to welcome new students. I heard your sister will be giving a speech on stage as a representative," Wu Yen said excitedly. "She's one of the top students here, graduated top of her class last year too. Since the academy was founded," he added. Likeda replied with a forced smile. Likursen, the name was still etched in Wu Yan's mind. The mere mention of his sister brought a shadow over Likeda's mood. "I'm nowhere near as good as her. I'm so useless." Wu Yen quietly observed Likeda's demeanor, then offered words of comfort and encouragement. "Everyone is born with their own unique talents. Don't always put yourself down and think you're inferior to others. The initial gap in ability can be immense, like an insurmountable chasm. But continuous effort, unwavering persistence, that's what truly matters in the end. I once knew someone. At first, they couldn't even hold a small knife without fumbling. Yet, in a short time, through sheer willpower, he could single-handedly destroy hordes of terrifying Void Immortals. Void Immortals, damn it, almost slipped up there. The demonic beast invasion instance hasn't been released yet." Realizing his blunder, Wu Yen quickly grabbed his phone, attempting to do damage control. "I meant, in this video game, the character I'm playing is an incredibly powerful villain." Likeda's face lit up with a bright smile, his expression relaxing. "Thank you so much for helping me during the entrance exam. You even encouraged and comforted me in so many ways. Thank goodness, she's not the type to overthink things." Wu Yen breathed a silent sigh of relief, then chuckled in response. "From now on, we're not just classmates but roommates too, so helping each other out is only natural. Don't worry about it. Oh right, I think the school's orientation ceremony is next Monday. I'll be back in a flash. I have to go pick someone up at the airport. My parents just landed from overseas. I have to go get them, so I can't stay any longer. Sorry." Likeda gave a slight nod of understanding. Wu Yen didn't waste another second, hurrying off immediately. That night, while waiting for the helicopter, Agent S spoke up, a hint of irritation in his voice. "It's just an assessment mission. Why do I have to personally travel so far?" Just then, the helicopter touched down on the landing pad. Fu Ning quickly boarded the aircraft as she replied, "Quit your complaining. This is an A+ ranked deputy assessment, a high-priority mission. The enforcers from all 5 planets and the guild are busy. Everyone has their own tasks to complete. You're the only one who's been free these past few days. Wu Yan interjected playfully. Trying to save on the budget, are we? Fu Ning laughed. Haha, you got me there. Wu Yan didn't continue bantering with Fu Ning. Instead, he stepped onto the helicopter and gave the order to depart. After a moment of silence, Fu Ning spoke up, her voice filled with determination. Master, please allow me to accompany you into the dungeon this time. Wu Yan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he observed her silently, his gaze piercing, as if trying to see into her very soul. His scrutiny made her flustered and irritable. Old man, have you stared enough? She snapped. Young lady, he replied, your intentions are not as simple as they appear. I'm trying to determine how long you'd last in there. What did you just say? Outside the castle, an unsettling peace had fallen over the landscape. The sky was a brilliant blue, fluffy white clouds drifted lazily by, and the sun bathed everything in a soft golden light. Wu Yan furtively answered his phone. A worried voice on the other end said, Hello, where am I? I'm out, he stammered. Xiao Ying's voice rose in a mixture of frustration and anxiety. Out where? You told Kuda you were going on a trip with some uncle. I just asked this uncle. He has no idea what I'm talking about. Where are you, really? Wu Yan scrambled for an explanation, grasping for an excuse. Something urgent came up. I'll be back in 2 days, I promise. Suddenly, Fu Ning appeared seemingly out of nowhere. She bent down. The cryptic phrase, Lordess, hung in the air, freezing Wu Yan in his tracks, his body turning to stone. Wu Yan swiftly hung up the phone, preventing Fu Ning from suspecting anything. On the other end, Xiao Ying was utterly stunned as the call abruptly ended with a dial tone. The beeping resonated in her ear. I just heard a girl's voice, Xiao Ying thought to herself. She had caught a few faint sounds before Wu Yan disconnected the call. You sly little rascal, just you wait and see what I do to you, she muttered. Fuming with anger, Xiao Ying took out her frustration on a hapless pillow. What is it? Wu Yan asked, forcing his voice to remain calm. He desperately hoped Fu Ning hadn't overheard anything. He reassured himself that Fu Ning couldn't have possibly heard anything suspicious. Fu Ning stood there, frozen stiff, as if her bones might snap. What will happen when we enter the instance? Fu Ning asked. Where did you disappear to while I was on the phone? This old man, never a dull moment with him around. Old man, I'm seriously starting to think you have Alzheimer's. Fu Ning leaned down, lightly tapping Wu Yan's wrinkled forehead. It was unclear if Wu Yan was intentionally avoiding her gaze, or if Fu Ning's ample, alluring bosom was proving a distraction. How could that be? I shouldn't be worried about you getting Alzheimer's. I should be worried that one slip up and you'll end up in jail. You're having a nosebleed. As Fu Ning spoke, she pinched Wu Yan's cheek playfully, leaving him completely defenseless. This old lecher. He says that, but who can miss the amusement dancing in Fu Ning's eyes? Alright, enough of that for now. Fu Ning addressed Wu Yan. Let's go. Wu Yan clicked his tongue, a tisk escaping his lips. He attempted to wipe away the trickling blood. This useless nose. The two of them moved with remarkable speed. Before him stood an imposing door, heavily guarded by a dense formation of soldiers. Wu Yan, with a composed expression, strode confidently inside. The soldiers were armed to the teeth, their advanced weaponry at the ready. The high-ranking officer, upon seeing Wu Yan, immediately snapped to attention, the blonde soldier saluting Wu Yan respectfully. Wu Yan casually took a puff of his half-smoked cigar and said nonchalantly, There's no need for formalities, just keep a close watch outside. The soldier replied cheerfully, All for the safety of the people, sir. As Wu Yan was about to step through the door, Fu Ning spoke up, a hint of curiosity in her voice. Are you sure you don't want me to come with you? In that moment, Wu Yan seemed to transform, becoming cold and distant. He replied, I'm used to working alone, because I've always been alone. Everyone is safer when you're not around. With that, Wu Yan didn't say another word, but proceeded directly inside. Watching Wu Yan's uncanny calmness as he strode forward, it was as if everything was unfolding according to plan, as familiar as a daily routine. Reaching his final destination, Wu Yan landed with unwavering resolve, his feet hitting the ground with a decisive thud. This subterranean city was known by contemporaries as a dungeon. Not long after I sealed the Demon Lord, across the globe, countless bizarre labyrinths with distorted dimensions began to appear. They materialized randomly at any location at any moment. Whether in past lives or this one, these hidden underground cities have always been shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Deep within the earth, demons and magical beasts, creatures believed to be completely eradicated, were gathering in large numbers. Furthermore, the higher the level of the dungeon, the greater its potential value and hidden treasures. The fragile boundary separating reality from the dungeon's depths was the gateway for instantaneous travel, the transmission gate. Wu Yen strode forward, each step calm, measured, and resolute. An unnerving silence blanketed the surroundings, as if no other living creature existed besides him. Wu Yan's solitary figure cast a long shadow across the cold ground. A colossal creature materialized, radiating an overwhelming and majestic aura. Wu Yen casually removed the cigar from his lips, issuing a daring challenge. Unexpectedly, his first words were a provocation. "Come out and fight!" A pair of sharp eyes in the darkness instantly reacted to the sound. They lit up, like a predator that had just spotted its prey. A mysterious entity suddenly erupted from the earth, creating a furious whirlwind. Fortunately, Wu Yen dodged just in time. He landed safely, maintaining his balance. Before him stood a monstrous beast with blood-red eyes, filled with murderous intent. It was the Shalatu Cake, a high-ranking magical beast, a harbinger of misfortune, a mid-to-high-level magical beast. Its appearance was that of a wild wolf that had undergone a terrifying evolution. Wu Yen calmly observed, analyzing his opponent. "So it's the Shalatu Cake, the bringer of calamity," he thought to himself. Memories from his past life flooded back, recalling the fierce battle with this monster. His favorite leather jacket had been burned to ashes by the Shalatu Cake. Rage ignited within Wu Yen. He charged, unleashing a furious barrage of punches. "I think you should aim for the weak spot on the back of this beast. That greenhorn was practically begging me to send him to heaven. A magical beast of this level requires at least a 4-star awaken to handle. But back then, my power far surpassed the 4-star realm. Victory was effortless, a mere trifle." Suddenly, the monster before me unleashed a ferocious roar, but its opponent remained motionless, simply observing. Wu Yen frantically covered his ears against the piercing, ear-splitting sound. He winced, complaining, "So loud, but this time I can't just obliterate it. I have to write a detailed report for the guild. What a hassle. This is going to be troublesome." Wu Yen sighed, exhaustion evident on his face. "Just like me. I dread writing those post-field trip reports the school always demands, after every internship." But that's Wu Yen. That Rakshasa beast is a completely different story. It raised its sharp claws menacingly towards Wu Yen. It was clearly planning an attack. "Whoa there. Slow down, buddy." Wu Yen nimbly dodged the surprise attack. Bobbing and weaving, evading sure attacks' relentless blows, Wu Yen meticulously documented everything in his notebook. Its primary attack pattern resembles a large feline predator. Agile movements and swift footwork should be sufficient for evasion. Sure attack was relentless, showing no signs of giving up. It charged towards Wu Yen with terrifying speed, like a bloodthirsty beast hunting its prey. The monster unsheathed its razor-sharp claws, attempting to inflict wounds on Wu Yen. But Wu Yen remained incredibly calm, seemingly unfazed. Wu Yen continued to jot down notes, not missing a single detail. After 3 consecutive failed attacks, Sure Attack flew into a rage, charging wildly. It lunged directly at Wu Yen. Heads up, the ferocious monster, enraged at being treated like a joke, opened its massive jaws and unleashed a torrent of flames. Wu Yen was overcome with excitement, pure exhilaration. This was insane. Absolutely incredible. Following in the beast's footsteps was a raging torrent of flames, exploding with ferocious intensity. A gigantic fireball, perfectly spherical, spiraled with the force of a cyclone, hurtling towards Wu Yen with terrifying speed. But Wu Yen showed no signs of flinching or fear. The young man maintained an astonishing composure. This was his golden opportunity, the perfect chance to take down the monster. Because while unleashing this attack, the foolish beast had left itself completely vulnerable, its back entirely exposed. An earth-shattering explosion erupted before their eyes, but the monster remained completely oblivious, unaware of what was about to happen. Wu Yen moved with lightning speed, a blur of motion. As if by magic, the young man appeared directly behind the colossal Lata beast. Swift and decisive, Wu Yen launched himself towards the monster like a rocket. He unleashed a devastating attack, the legendary Millennium Strike, aimed directly at the beast's weak point. The sheer agony radiating from the scene was palpable. I never could have imagined that Wu Yen could employ such a cunning and unexpected tactic. Luo Take's massive body suddenly exploded with an earth-shattering roar. Wu Yen instinctively reached out, as if trying to grasp something slipping away. It turned out he was trying to grab the monstrous Luo Take's head. Wu Yen tightly gripped the beast's massive horns, strange hexagonal cubes tumbling from within its enormous skull. Among the cubes, a brilliant golden orb caught his eye. Wu Yen carefully picked up the golden sphere, his gaze intently examining the mysterious object. After successfully slaying the ferocious beast, Wu Yen moved to another area within the dungeon. A majestic scene unfolded before him, with colossal stone formations towering everywhere. They looked incredibly valuable, undoubtedly worth a fortune. Wu Yen scanned his surroundings, assessing the terrain. The resources in this A-rank dungeon were truly abundant, exceeding his expectations. After defeating the final boss, he would learn the dungeon's refresh cycle. If the refresh time was short, this place would be a gold mine for the nation. But I have to demand at least 50% of the profits, Wu Yen thought to himself with a chuckle. Hee, jackpot. Another big score. Wu Yen couldn't contain his glee, his mind brimming with visions of a bright future. A hefty sum of money was about to land squarely in his pockets. Just then, as Wu Yen was lost in his daydreams of wealth, a sharp axe blade suddenly whizzed through the air. Its target was none other than Wu Yan's head. But for a skilled expert like Wu Yen, this was nothing to worry about. With a swift, graceful dodge, he narrowly escaped the jaws of death. Having just defeated one monster, another colossal creature emerged. It stood towering before Wu Yen, its size many times larger. This was the ancient demon specter, leader of the demonic horde. Its powerful physique and rippling muscles were truly formidable. Wu Yen carefully observed the enemy before him. A worthy opponent for an A-rank dungeon, he thought to himself. But this time, no sooner had the words left his mouth than Wu Yen, a horde of ferocious former demonic beasts materialized behind him, as if rising from the earth itself. Their numbers swelled relentlessly, forming a terrifying sea of monsters. Amidst the encirclement, Wu Yen calmly pulled out his notebook and began meticulously recording observations. This sheer number is a bit troublesome, he muttered to himself. If this continues, it seems I'll have to join an instance and fight in a team formation to overcome this, Wu Yen pondered. He wasn't just noting down their numbers. Wu Yen also took the opportunity to sketch the forms of the roaring beasts before him. My drawing skills are still a bit amateur, he self-critiqued. But these former demonic beasts aren't that frightening, Wu Yen thought to himself. They're identical to the demonic beast simulations from the entrance exam. They're likely designed based on the characteristics of strength-type demonic humans. The weakness of strength-type demonic humans is their low intelligence and their susceptibility to provocation. Finishing his notes, Wu Yen closed his notebook. It was time to confront these aggressive strength-type demonic humans head-on. This isn't a wise decision. Yi Tongzi's eyes glimmered with a strange, unreadable expression. I hope that all of my students can fully grasp the knowledge within the materials I painstakingly compiled. Finishing his words, Wu Yen unleashed a lightning-fast punch, without hesitation, aimed directly at one of his enemies. The powerful blow pierced through the enemy's chest, creating a horrifying hole. Following that, a devastating kick sent the leader flying several meters. This part isn't related to cultivating power, so there's no need to record it. Furthermore, this old demon, despite possessing a gigantic size, dwarfing Wu Yen, posed no obstacle for him to eliminate. I must personally face the challenges within the materials I created. Sensing the unfavorable situation, the remaining enemies couldn't just stand idly by. They charged forward in unison, launching a fierce attack on Wu Yen. Wu Yen didn't rush into action. He calmly observed, analyzing the situation. Waiting until 3 enemies closed in, within a certain range, Wu Yen erupted with terrifying power, unleashing a destructive force. With overwhelming pressure alone, 3 enemies exploded into fragments. They vanished into thin air before even laying a finger on him. The earth-shattering explosion sent shockwaves rippling through the surroundings, leaving devastation in its wake. Wu Yen nonchalantly placed a cigar between his lips, slowly lighting it. He casually slipped his hands into his pockets, coolly surveying the chaotic scene before him. The battle had reached its conclusion. Wu Yen rested on a large boulder, his foot resting atop a fallen monster's head. The corpses of his enemies lay scattered around him. Strange, hexagonal cubes, began to rise from the bodies of the monstrous beasts. Wu Yen tapped his finger rhythmically on the rock, muttering to himself. 1 year, 5 days, 15 days, another cycle of rebirth. Too short. Quite troublesome. He was calculating the monster's respawn time. Wu Yan's gaze shifted towards their leader, who was struggling to rise amidst the pain. The monster suddenly raised a hand, pointing directly at Wu Yen. Wu Yen met its gesture with a look of disdain and utter contempt, but he seemed unable to grasp the true meaning behind the creature's bizarre action. The former demon strained, its voice a guttural rasp. The demon lord will return. Having uttered this chilling warning, it instantly disintegrated into countless tiny hexagonal fragments. Then, it vanished into thin air, as if it had never existed. The scene abruptly shifted. In the stillness of the night, a faint light appeared. Only the gentle lapping of waves against the shore and the whirring of helicopter blades remained. In this strangely quiet atmosphere, Fu Ning smirked, admiring a glittering gemstone in his hand. After the task force had withdrawn, he began taking stock of his spoils, a rather substantial haul. This time, his company's accounts would see a significant windfall. Once the money was in his grasp, he could freely invest in the Zhangyan Academy without a second thought. A life of luxury and indulgence awaited him. She studied the gem intently, her gaze fixed on every intricate detail of the sparkling stone in her palm. Meanwhile, Wu Yen, beside her, was lost in his own thoughts. He stared blankly out at the vast, endless expanse. Through the helicopter's clear window, the image of the terrifying monster and its haunting words lingered, etched in Wu Yan's mind, unable to be erased. The demon lord will return. Seeing Wu Yen in a daze, seemingly lost in his own world, Fu Ning gently approached him and nudged him slightly. "What's wrong, master? Is something troubling you? Ever since we left the dungeon, you've seemed distant and melancholic, not your usual self." His thoughts interrupted. Wu Yen was startled, a flicker of panic in his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure, forcing a smile. "It's nothing, haha. Maybe I'm just getting old and experiencing airsickness." Wu Yan's eyes betrayed his unease, the facade failing to conceal his true feelings. Fu Ning, perceptive as ever, immediately noticed the unusual look in his eyes. His eyes were glued to the helicopter, unwavering. "What are you staring at it for? And with that sly, perverted grin plastered on your face?" Wu Yan's drool is about to drip all over the helicopter floor. Unable to resist those ripe, watermelon-like breasts, Wu Yan unleashed the old lecher within him. "How about you indulge me a little? I'm on my way out anyway. One last hurrah before I kick the bucket. Give me something to brag about in hell." Fu Ning quickly shielded her chest, protecting her treasures from Wu Yan's greedy grasp. "Fine, but you'll have to double the price for a little feel." The mere mention of money instantly extinguished Wu Yan's enthusiasm. "Damn, this girl's asking for too much. I'm out. Every penny counts for an old man, you know. Forget it, I'm not arguing with a disrespectful brat who doesn't know her place, and I certainly won't waste my breath on a child who doesn't respect her elders." He crossed his arms, feigning a sulk, as if he were the one who had been wronged. Fu Ning smirked, a hint of mockery in his eyes. He started it, and now he's playing the victim. How dare this little brat be so insolent? "Old man, watch your mouth. I was about to sleep when you dragged me out here. What's the big deal?" Wu Yen yawned widely, his body radiating exhaustion after the recent battle. Fine, you're the boss. You're always right. I'm just a lowly employee." Fu Ning sighed, resigned to his subordinate fate. Wu Yen fell silent, lost in thought as the helicopter sliced through the still, dark night sky. Around him, only the rhythmic thump of the massive rotors filled the air. Before sleep finally claimed him, his mind wrestled with lingering doubts and the monster's final words. Before it vanished, what did the former demon's dying message truly mean? Would the demon lord return? The Death Star can't return to the real world. Impossible, even in his past life. Until the very last moment, he didn't turn back. Unlocking that mysterious dungeon seemed his only course of action now. But that cunning old demon wouldn't have uttered those words without reason. It was like a calculated probe, cleverly disguised as a casual remark. Wu Yen felt like his head was about to explode. Countless chaotic thoughts collided, a torrent of problems demanding immediate solutions. From the demon lord's premature descent, to the opening of the enigmatic dungeon, and the strange occurrences of today. Could his revival be the catalyst, throwing everything off its intended course? Wu Yen lost himself in a whirlwind of contemplation, completely forgetting his desperate need for rest. Fu Ning sat quietly beside him, carefully observing every gesture, every subtle shift in Wu Yan's expression. She was utterly perplexed. Hadn't the old man just mentioned sleep? What was he scheming now? Something was definitely up. Wu Yen stared into the distance, an unusual resolve hardening his features. You forewarned me of your existence. I will wait patiently for your arrival. The course of history had changed. We no longer have to fear that star of slaughter. For some inexplicable reason, in some impossible way, he suddenly had a complete change of heart, a 180-degree turn. Looking at Fu Ning's expression beside me, I'm sure she's thinking this old man has finally lost his mind. The scene shifts. In a quiet, peaceful neighborhood, a blood-curdling scream suddenly rings out from a familiar house. Ah, ouch, it hurts. Ow, you damn brat. The woman on the call last night wasn't an AI, but it turns out to be Xiao Ying interrogating Wu Yen. She's practically twisting his ear off. Talk. Why are you still putting on that innocent face? Xiao Ying roared, her voice filled with fury and indignation. I have the feeling she's about to jump on him and rip Wu Yen to shreds. What woman? You heard wrong. Wu Yen quickly defended himself, his ears burning red, like two ripe tomatoes. Xiao Ying, you're so young, yet you're already overthinking things, getting all paranoid. Wu Yen was trying to change the subject, smoothly diverting the conversation to hide the truth. But surprisingly, Xiao Ying seemed unfazed by his evasion. Fine. Let's just say I misheard, she said nonchalantly. However, Xiao Ying's silence didn't mean she was letting Wu Yen off the hook. She stepped closer, her sharp gaze fixed on Wu Yen, a slender finger pointed directly at his chest. Then where have you been lurking for the past 2 days? Her voice was ice cold. Inwardly, Wu Yen rejoiced. Heh, thank goodness. I already thought of an excuse. He regained his composure and confidently answered Xiao Ying's question. Where else could I have been? Busy preparing a gift for you, of course. A gift? What's the occasion today? Xiao Ying asked suspiciously. She felt dubious, because she couldn't recall any special anniversary today. What's the occasion? Today's the 18th anniversary of the day we met, of course, Wu Yen declared confidently. I wouldn't have guessed, Xiao Ying exclaimed. This excuse is truly beyond imagination, Wu Yen thought to himself. Wu Yen reached into his pocket, pulling out a pre-prepared gift. Pains me to say this. The day we met, I remember it vividly, every moment crystal clear. Yet, you've forgotten Baidu Creek, forgotten Boang. Don't you feel even a shred of remorse? Xiao Ying had a flicker of doubt in her eyes, but she accepted the gift and slowly unwrapped it. Oh my, come on, don't be so slow. Let's see what treasure this is. The object inside the box radiated a brilliant, dazzling light, making Xiao Ying's eyes sparkle with mesmerizing beauty. How did you get this rare mana stone? Despite desperately needing a valuable gift, something extravagant and eye-catching, Xiao Ying's expression remained devoid of excitement. Of course, I had to stake out the dungeon gate for 2 whole days, and finally bought it from a veteran guild hunter. Wu Yen fabricated a story on the spot. Wu Yan's face now resembled Pinocchio, the wooden boy, except, you're so wrong. Playing with a girl's intuition is a cardinal sin. Xiao Ying looked at Wu Yen suspiciously, her eyes scanning him from head to toe. A magic core of this rank is incredibly valuable. It's worth 50,000 mon coins. Where did you get that kind of money? Hearing Xiao Ying's sharp question, I thought Wu Yen would be speechless, unable to answer. But looking at his expression now, it seemed like everything was going exactly according to his plan. Hook, line, and sinker. A smug Wu Yen confidently recounted his story, though its truthfulness was questionable. Have you forgotten how I've disappeared for days without explanation over the years? Actually, I was working part-time. I saved every penny I earned to buy this magic core for you. Don't complain that it's only yellow rank. After I graduate from the academy, I'll definitely get you a higher level purple one. As he finished speaking, Wu Yen pulled out a deep red rose, his face a perfect imitation of a cheesy romantic lead from a drama, usually only found in cheesy romance novels. But coming from Wu Yen, they sounded surprisingly sincere. If you want it, I'll give you anything I have. His sweet words were like honey poured into Xiao Ying's ears, melting her heart. Xiao Ying's anger dissipated like mist in the wind. She cherished the gift in Wu Yan's hands, her eyes sparkling with joy. Thank you. I really like it. Seizing the opportunity, Wu Yan decided to strike while the iron was hot. He leaned closer, whispering into Xiao Ying's ear, his voice as soft as a gentle breeze. I gave you a gift. Shouldn't you give me a reward in return? As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Ying innocently replied, What kind of reward? Wu Yan grinned mischievously. Are you wearing strawberry-printed underwear today? That Wu Yan. What a pervert. Unbelievable. I'm starting to think he's a real player. Xiao Ying was stunned into silence by Wu Yan's question. Her cheeks flushed crimson, redder than the ripest tomatoes in my garden. In an instant, the little angel transformed into a devil. Fury ignited in Xiao Ying's eyes. She wished she could drag Wu Yan down to the depths of hell. No, not just hell, but all 18 levels of it, to be imprisoned alongside Yama himself. But like a dog barking at ragged clothes, Wu Yan remained incorrigible, refusing to shed a tear until he saw the coffin. Even with the situation hanging by a thread, he couldn't shut his trap, his incessant babbling continuing. You rotten strawberry. Go to your grave already. With those words, Xiao Ying became a whirlwind, lunging forward. She gently bestowed upon Wu Yan a punch from the heavens, a punch so affectionate that even etiquette would surrender. The scene shifted to the grand entrance ceremony. The atmosphere in the hall was vibrant and bustling. All the new students had gathered. Suddenly, a striking figure appeared, capturing the attention of all the students. It was the legendary 5-star senior, the one who had awakened a special ability. A legendary figure, admired by all. An indescribably alluring and captivating figure glided past the two of them. 5-star? This is beyond imagination. As the goddess walked by, the two guys couldn't help but gossip, mesmerized by her breathtaking beauty. Rumor has it she'll join a guild in her second year. Me? I don't even know if I'll find a stable job after graduation. Why compare yourself to a genius? You're just asking for trouble. The person they're talking about is Li Kursin, a 5-star awakened, Li Cadat's older sister. But has anyone noticed anything different about her? She spoke. Cadat, can we talk for a moment? Hearing his sister's voice, Cadat, who was with Wu Yan and Xiao Ying, said, You two go to the lecture hall first. I'll be there later. Wu Yan and Xiao Ying immediately left. All right, see you later. They gave the siblings some privacy, so Cadat could talk freely. Looking at the receding figure of Wu Yan, Kaisen felt a strange sense of familiarity as she looked at the teenager's back. Had she seen him somewhere before? Seeing his sister lost in thought, Cadat hesitantly spoke up. Sister, is something wrong? He asked timidly. Sister, what's the matter? Cadat asked, worry etched on his face. Kaisen rushed over and grasped her brother's hand tightly. I heard about what happened at the exam, her voice laced with concern. Don't keep it bottled up, tell me everything. But what they said is true. Cadat mumbled, his head bowed. I can't deny it, I really am weak. Hearing her brother's self-deprecating words, Kaisen's heart ached. She refused to let him wallow in negativity. What truth? Before the anomaly happened, she countered, Your academic performance was always outstanding. You excelled in so many areas. You were a talented, gifted child. This world doesn't solely rely on awakened abilities to determine a person's worth. Cadat offered a weak smile at his sister's words. I know, sister, he replied softly. Kaisen looked at him sternly. No matter what anyone says, don't let it bother you. When you enter the academy, you'll discover that, besides developing your Esper potential, countless other exciting things await you. Even if you can't reach S rank, we'll explore other paths together. You'll always be the best in my eyes, Keita. Keita couldn't believe his ears. Those comforting words had come from his own sister. He was speechless, overwhelmed with emotion. She was truly a kind and gentle soul. But that smile filled Wu Yan with a sense of foreboding about Keita's future. A sudden commotion erupted outside. As Wu Yan and Xiao Ying stepped out the door, they were immediately confronted by a group of people. Wu Yan was taken aback, unsure why anyone would seek him out. It's me. The leader of the group was none other than Oyanghao, Oyangwei's older brother. My talented brother was denied admission, and it's clearly your doing. I hear you tested as S rank, didn't you? You don't even have the most basic qualifications. Did you perhaps do something shameful? Something you're trying to hide? Wu Yan calmly replied, do something? Shouldn't you be asking about your little brother's situation? Xiaoying stood beside him, resolutely refusing to let Wu Yan be bullied. Your brother used his influence to bully others during the exam. His mouth filled with nothing but vulgar and obscene language. Yang Hao glared, his voice a menacing growl. You bitch, how dare you speak like that? You little bitch, what did you just say? Wu Yan remained standing to the side, calmly observing the loudmouth before him, offering no comment. The arrogant, uneducated young man felt irked by Yang Hao's blunt words. Apologize, he snarled. Yet the bastard showed no fear. In the face of Wu Yan's cold, menacing stare. Apologize? Ha ha ha. Did you hear that? This piece of trash wants me to apologize. Looks like you don't know who Ouyang Hao is. Young Master Hao, why waste your breath on them? Let him know. This hand is always by my side, following me everywhere. Go ahead and complain to your superiors. Expelling this shameless person was already an act of mercy. What if he's still not convinced after being kicked out? Young Master Hao will personally give him a taste of defeat. Xiaoying stood beside them, disgust evident on her face, unwilling to witness this cheap drama any longer. Hey, are you guys done with your little act? All talk and no action. Useless? Yet he still managed to take down your little brother. What kind of person my brother is? Don't you know yourself? Go back and reflect on yourself. You bitch, this guy is a complete idiot. Yang Hao didn't hesitate, immediately striking first. He lunged forward like a wild beast out of control, raising his rough, masculine hand high, that large, veiny hand, aiming for Xiaoying's beautiful, delicate face. Is it your turn to speak now? I'll teach you some manners, but he didn't even get to touch a single hair on Xiaoying's head. From behind, Wu Yan suddenly charged forward, shoving Yang Hao with a powerful thrust that sent him flying. What a true hero, saving the damsel in distress. Although, it seems our hero suffers a bit in the process. This was the second time he had sternly warned and reprimanded them. Oh my, he looks absolutely dashing and incredibly handsome right now. If only our main character could always maintain such a radiant aura. Somehow, Wu Yan's body suddenly transformed into a stream of clear water. His form began to melt away, spreading out until it finally became a large puddle on the ground. Yang Hao was utterly astonished, his eyes wide with disbelief at the bizarre scene unfolding before him. This was clearly his younger brother's signature technique. How could this brat have replicated his brother's skill? Unforgivable. Now, water surrounded Yang Hao's entire formation. He repeatedly stomped his feet into the water, his face contorted with rage. Could Yang Hao possibly be delusional enough to believe he was actually fighting Wu Yan himself? Humph, even if he can copy my brother's ability, so what? I'm still many times stronger than him. What can you possibly do to me? How can a young man like you not understand the principle of learn one thing, know 10? Wu Yan couldn't help but chuckle at Yang Hao's naive and shallow thinking. Copy ability is just learning the outer shell, imitating a little bit. The true power is insignificant. But the moment those words left his mouth, he found himself completely immobilized. Yang Hao struggled violently, trying to break free from the puddle of water that held him captive, but all his efforts were in vain. His feet felt glued to the ground, refusing to budge. Only then did Yang Hao begin to tremble with fear, his face a comical yet pitiful sight. Why is it so sticky? The puddle beneath his feet suddenly surged upwards, engulfing Yang Hao's entire body. He was completely caught off guard, unable to react. Wu Yan is truly ruthless. He's using the water to cover Yang Hao's nose, suffocating him. Yang Hao's about to drown. Unharmed? How can you be unharmed? A nobody like you defeating a 3-star like me? How amusing. You're just spouting nonsense as far as I can see. If you can't breathe, then stop breathing. Just shut your mouth for good. Our protagonist emerges from the water. Let me remind you all once again, this is the protagonist, not the antagonist. Wu Yan believes people like Su Zhu are nothing but scum, those who use their awakened abilities to bully the weak. Acting like this, how are you any different from the cruel demons? He's teaching them a lesson they won't soon forget. At your age, you still don't understand how to be a decent human being. You're beyond saving. But no one noticed that Kada has appeared after his conversation with his sister. Kada is stunned by the scene unfolding before his eyes. He'd only been separated from them for a moment, yet he was already witnessing a scene so astonishing, it defied belief. Before Kada's eyes unfolded a bizarre spectacle. Yang Hao and his trusted henchmen were bound tightly, imprisoned by swirling torrents of water, masterfully manipulated by Wu Yan. Impossible! How can this be happening? He trembled, bellowing in utter frustration and rage, like a petulant child throwing a tantrum, defeated in a childish game. You cheated. You used some underhanded trick. Scene changes to the lecture hall of a different school. Looking at their spacious, modern school, I can only sigh with envy. But what about my school? Instead of investing in upgrading facilities, they use our tuition money to organize pointless, dull activities and then force us to participate. Behold, the ultimate merit point-earning slave. Headmaster Liang wants to investigate who instigated this whole mess. Who started this? Yang Hao, his face a patchwork of bruises and bandages, was the first to speak. He pointed accusingly at Wu Yan. They bullied my little brother first, Yang Hao roared, while Yang Hao seethed, his fury still burning hot. Wu Yan remained remarkably calm, a stark contrast to the childish temper of the boy beside him. Headmaster Liang observed keenly and quickly grasped the situation. Are you saying you struck first? Master Liang asked. Isn't that right, Yang Hao? Master Liang's question pierced through Yang Hao's bluster. He hadn't expected Master Liang to see through his lies. He stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence, because the truth was, they had ambushed Wu Yan's group first. Faced with this blatant act of aggression, Headmaster Liang sternly reprimanded both of them. On the very first day of freshman orientation, you dare to threaten and humiliate first-year students at the entrance to the hall. His voice boomed. This is your first offense. Abusing your awakened abilities to bully the weak, a serious violation of the Academy's rules. That's offense number 2. Showing no remorse even in the dean's office, that's offense number 3. With these 3 offenses, I, as Dean of Students, have full authority to expel you. Looking at the stern teacher, I'm reminded of my own school days. I suppose when I was younger, I used to be terrified of being scolded by teachers, but now it all seems so trivial. Yang Hao, with his bruised face, and one eye swollen shut, still continued to boast and brag incessantly. What? You dare expel me? Dean Liang, I'm afraid you don't have that authority. He strode up to Dean Liang's desk, slamming his hand down in a show of dominance. Let's see what you can do. Suddenly, the office door burst open. A man appeared unexpectedly, interrupting the heated confrontation. So this was Yang Hao's father. Just observing his speech and mannerisms, it was clear how he'd raised 2 arrogant sons who looked down on everyone. Who dares to expel my son? Who has such audacity? Yang strode past Wu Yan, arrogance radiating from him. Wu Yan studied the man, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. He vaguely recalled a brief conversation with him back in his school days. Yang nonchalantly snatched the cigar from Headmaster Liang's hand, taking a long drag. In the recent entrance exam, my son wasn't accepted because his abilities weren't up to par. I acknowledge that. I don't deny it in the slightest. But since this school's establishment, the Ouyang family has invested a substantial amount of money, and now you want to expel my son? Isn't this a bit much? Ouyang's demeanor and arrogant words painted a clear picture. A man of considerable wealth who viewed others with disdain, believing people like Headmaster Liang were mere insignificant extras. Just then, Yang Hao glared at Wu Yan, his eyes burning with hostile resentment, tinged with a hint of cruel satisfaction. Haha, Daddy's here. You pathetic peasant, get the hell out of here. Playing it cool. Huh? Scared shitless on the inside, aren't you? You struggled so hard to get into this prestigious university, a place millions dream of attending. And now you're getting expelled on your first day? How pathetic. Your life is officially over. That little punk's annoying face makes me curious. I wonder what Wu Yan did to make that brat look so utterly defeated. Headmaster Liang finally intervened. Mr. Ouyang, your financial contributions to the school and Yang Hao's violation of school rules are 2 entirely separate matters. They cannot be equated or compared. The headmaster adjusted his glasses, his eyes narrowing at Ouyang, his voice stern. It's true that a portion of my salary is paid by the Ouyang family, however. You should choose your words more carefully. As expected of Yang Hao's father, his reputation precedes him. Your way with words is far more impressive than your son's. Director Liang rose from his seat and approached Ouyang with a proposition. Since this matter involves the Academy's board of directors, it's no longer a decision I can make on my own. I will contact Vice President Fu Ning and request her presence to deliver the final verdict. It was unclear what connection Ouyang had with Fu Ning, but he seemed remarkably confident. I trust Vice President Fu Ning will make a fair and just decision. Until now, the debate had been incredibly tense, yet Wu Yen seemed completely unconcerned. But the moment he heard Fu Ning's name, his expression changed. This is bad. I wish I hadn't been seen by her, Wu Yen thought to himself. He had a terrible feeling she might connect him to the S organization. Meanwhile, Yang Hao stood beside them, a smug and triumphant grin plastered across his face. Ha ha ha, scared now, are you? Trembling before the power of this young master. Lowly peasants like you should know your place and obediently attend those cheap, insignificant universities. Don't you dare dream of competing with your betters and trying to worm your way into prestigious universities. And what happens even if you graduate? Won't you all end up starting at the bottom as pathetic low-level hunters? Despicable and incompetent. Unlike me, this young master, the moment I graduate, all it takes is a single word from my esteemed father, and I'll instantly become a mid-level member of the guild. And who knows? Maybe one day I'll even climb to the powerful position of enforcer? Headmaster Liang didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately pulled out his phone and called Vice President Fu Ning. We need you here to handle a situation. Yes, indeed. The Vice President will be here in 5 minutes. Teacher Liang hung up and stated firmly, Vice President Fu Ning will be here in just a few minutes to address this matter. Coincidentally, just as he finished speaking, Yang Hao's family information arrived. Then opportunity came knocking. After ending the call, Fu Ning held a file in her hand, her face beaming with delight. She looked like she had just solved a particularly challenging puzzle. It turned out that a while ago, Wu Yen had secretly entrusted Fu Ning with a task. He asked her to investigate a member of the school board, a representative from the Ouyang Corporation. The requirement was to thoroughly understand the Ouyang family situation, ensuring fairness and objectivity in the investigation. Minor offenses would warrant only a warning. Ultimately, the decision rested entirely in her hands. Yes, Mr. S., Fu Ning respectfully replied. There was no more time to waste. Fu Ning placed the file on the table and quickly headed to Director Liang's office. Meanwhile, the Ouyang father and son remained nonchalant, confident in their power and unshakable status. My feet are getting tired from standing, Ouyang Sr. complained arrogantly. Yang Hao turned smugly, flashing a disdainful smile at Wu Yen. Humph. Being born into the right family is a skill too. With his father backing him, he's become arrogant, convinced he's untouchable. He's shed his former timid, fearful demeanor. Yang Hao looks pathetic, but only the unpunished deserve pity. Rapid footsteps echoed down the hallway, penetrating the quiet room. A pair of slender legs, sheathed in black stockings, slowly stepped inside. I think they're in here. They seem to have a thing for women in black stockings, don't they? Well, if it isn't Mr. Ouyang. With SAO Corporation being so busy, I'm surprised you have time for a visit. Vice President Fu Ning entered, greeting him with a warm, welcoming smile. Ouyang, convinced he was invincible, remained relaxed, casually lounging in his chair. Ha ha ha, not busy at all. Not at all. Not busy, you say? I just noticed your precious son seems to have lost all color in his face. He looks like he's about to faint. Then, witnessing Fu Ning's greeting, Ouyang smugly assumed that the powerful Vice President Fu Ning was showing him the utmost respect and deference. Liang Baiyun, just you wait. Fu Ning turned, curiosity piqued. What happened? Headmaster Liang, tell us everything from the beginning. Teacher Liang recounted the events in meticulous detail. That's outrageous. Typical alliance behavior. Yang Hao using his power to bully the weak, humiliating and intimidating a freshman. After listening, Fu Ning shrugged indifferently. Oh, isn't this just a minor squabble? Why make such a fuss? Yang Hao stood beside them, waiting for the chance to stir the pot. Exactly, it's just a trivial, insignificant matter. But in a flash, Fu Ning did a complete 180. I sense someone here changing their tune faster than, well, faster than a pancake flips. Expel him and be done with it. Expel him, That's the solution. Fu Ning fell silent, arms crossed in contemplation. She needed to devise the most logical and appropriate course of action. Expulsion will suffice. Fu Ning fixed a sharp gaze on Ouyang and his son, her voice ice-cold. Ouyang Fun was stunned. He hadn't expected such a decisive and harsh decision from Fu Ning. I fully concur with this punishment. Unfazed by Ouyang Fun's reaction, Fu Ning turned to instruct Headmaster Liang. You may proceed with the expulsion procedures. If Ouyang Hao still desires to study at this academy, he will have to take the entrance exam next year. Our principle is to always offer those who have erred a chance to redeem themselves. Only then did the stark realization hit Ouyang and his son. Fu Ning held no regard for them, let alone any fear or hesitation. Headmaster Liang immediately obeyed Fu Ning's directive. Yes, Vice President. Standing beside them, Ouyang Fun was still reeling from this unexpected turn of events. Even now, he couldn't quite grasp the harsh reality, so he hastily questioned Fu Ning for confirmation. What did you say? Expel my son? You don't mean that dim-witted Wu Yen, do you? Yang Hao looked bewildered, pointing a finger directly at himself. Does anyone else see how this brat's face gets more and more stupid-looking each day? Anyone? I was thinking, if you bothered to connect the dots, you'd understand the situation. Of course, it's Ouyang Hao who's being expelled. My brother Hao Yen was clearly the one being bullied. Fu Ning sighed in exasperation, glancing at Yang Hao with a look of utter contempt and disappointment. Ouyang Hao's face contorted in a grimace of anger. He bellowed at Fu Ning, "Hey you, look closely, look carefully. The one who's bruised and battered is my son. It's my son. My nose is black and blue and swollen. That brat over there is perfectly fine." However, the teacher calmly let him finish without interruption. Fu Ning addressed the core issue of the matter. A third-year student humiliating a freshman and losing the fight on top of that. Ouyang Hao angrily pointed at Wu Yen, still clinging to the delusion of his own importance and power. Expel him. Expel that brat. He should never be allowed back in this school. Hearing those words, Fu Ning couldn't contain herself any longer. She burst into laughter, as if she had just heard the most hilarious joke. Ha. Witnessing Fu Ning's reaction, Ouyang and his son became even more bewildered, unsure of what was happening. What are you laughing at? I'm laughing at your stupidity, your short-sightedness. At this moment, Fu Ning truly exuded the aura of a powerful female character from a novel, completely different from her usual playful, adorable self around Wu Yen. What are you saying? They seemed unable to believe their ears. Sometimes I wonder if characters in dramas have a problem with comprehension. It's been explained so clearly, yet they still ask the same question 10 times. Fu Ning turned, walked to the sofa, and sat down. The Ouyang family, esteemed Master S, has always advocated for unity, friendly cooperation, and joining forces against external enemies, but to protect the weak and stand up for what's right. She leisurely sat down on a nearby sofa and continued, I know you've contributed greatly to the academy, but frankly, this is a golden opportunity bestowed upon us all by Lord C to join hands and build a better new world. The money you invest in the academy is fine. Pouring it into the guild is also acceptable. Its presence or absence won't affect the bigger picture. Hearing these veiled words, Ouyang trembled, his legs nearly giving way. He stammered, What do you mean? Unease gnawed at him. Did I say something wrong? Only now did Ouyang truly grasp the gravity of the situation. His son, Yang Hao, stood beside him, clearly puzzled by his father's strange reaction. But truly, Ouyang had unwittingly raised a foolish son. He remained oblivious to the impending danger. He said nonchalantly, Father's a major shareholder, what's there to worry about? Ouyang roared, Shut up, his stern voice, silencing Yang Hao instantly, rendering him speechless. But why does this guy always have such a ridiculously stupid look on his face? Vice President Fu Ning's expression turned incredibly stern. Vice President Fu Ning spoke coldly. After everything I just said, do you understand the current situation? Things are not looking good for you. Ouyang immediately adopted a subservient demeanor, groveling towards Fu Ning, his voice a pathetic whisper as he pleaded, Please, have mercy on me, just this once. Fu Ning remained unmoved by the pleas, his expression as cold as ice. We will return all the funds that the Ouyang family donated and expel Yang Hao. As you know, the last time we expelled the Zhou family, we made a public announcement to the entire community. You will be no exception. Then, she turned and delegated the task to Director Liang. The student matter, leave it to you to handle. Yes, Vice President. She added a further instruction. Oh, and by the way, there's no need to consult me about these kinds of matters in the future. You can make the decisions yourself. If they don't understand reason, call security and have them thrown out. Yes, ma'am. Ouyang Jin couldn't take her eyes off Wu Yen, who was nonchalantly picking his nose. Just because Xiao Hao bullied a classmate, the price to pay was too steep. Was it possible that countless questions and chaotic thoughts were flooding, filling Ouyang Jin's mind? Ever since the Zhou family was expelled from the school, all companies had unanimously terminated their collaborations with them. In just half a year, the Zhou Corporation had been removed from the top 500 companies list. Could it be that the Ouyang family could decline to such an extent? How much sweat and effort had she poured in to climb to this position? Sons? She could have as many as she wanted. Unbelievable. Hidden deep within his mind was such a terrifying scheme. The way he looked at his own flesh and blood was filled with cold calculation. Father, why are you looking at me like that? Yang Hao, standing beside him, was clearly a product of his father's upbringing, forged in the same ruthless environment. He seemed completely oblivious, utterly unaware of the imminent danger, that events had spiraled beyond control, beyond any hope of salvation. Vice President Funing, Ouyang, desperately tried to express remorse, begging for leniency. I was wrong. It's all my fault. I failed to raise my son properly. Every day, he abuses his power as the chairman's son, acting recklessly and breaking countless laws. I take full responsibility. I beg your forgiveness. The words barely left his lips before he dropped to his knees, pleading with Fu Ning. Yang Hao, standing behind them, witnessed the entire scene, unable to believe his father's humiliating display. As foolish as he might be, Yang Hao still carried the proud blood of the Ouyang family. He rushed forward and tried to lift his father up. Father, why are you kneeling before this woman? But Yang Hao's question was met with a resounding slap across the face. The force of the blow echoed through the large room, sending him sprawling to the floor. Ouyang roared, berating his foolish son. Damn it, shut your mouth. Let me apologize. We're on the verge of ruin, and you're still running your mouth. Why did I have to spawn such an idiot? Damn it. Fu Ning had remained silent in her chair this entire time, quietly observing the pathetic drama unfolding between the Ouyang father and son. Finally, she spoke. It seems Mr. Ouyang has finally come to understand what's right. Very well then, Mr. Ouyang, you handle this yourself. I stand by my initial decision. Magistrate C. I'm always willing to grant a second chance to those who show true remorse. Ouyang glared at Yang Hao, his eyes blazing with fury and murderous intent. He stared daggers at Yang Hao, probably wishing he could lunge forward and teach this rebellious son a lesson he'd never forget. Even now, after receiving a resounding slap from his father, Yang Hao remained sprawled on the ground, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. Perhaps he'd been so pampered his entire life that he simply couldn't process this reality. Fu Ning sat silently, observing the tragicomic scene unfolding before him. On one side, Yang Hao was getting a thorough dressing down, caught between life and death, hovering on the brink, while beside them Wu Yen remained utterly indifferent to their dramatic performance. Fu Ning adjusted his glasses, then spoke up, offering a suggestion. I think the three of us should take our leave. Mr. Ouyang finished speaking and gestured for everyone to leave, granting them some privacy. The young woman stood up immediately and without hesitation, quickly left the room. He'll take care of everything. There's no need to worry. Yes, Vice President. We'll excuse ourselves. After all three of them filed out, Yang Hao's screams grew even louder and more piercing. Wu Yen still lingered, eavesdropping. He couldn't resist his curiosity, wanting to see how this drama would unfold. Dad, what are you doing? No, Dad, I'm your favorite son. You love me the most. You're nothing but a spoiled brat. I'm going to beat you to death. You idiot. Yang Hao's pitiful cries piqued Wu Yan's curiosity even further. What was going on? He desperately wanted to know what was happening inside that room. You're acting like a gossipy neighbor, always eavesdropping whenever there's a commotion next door. Fu Ning chided. Disciplining a son requires the firmness of Mount Tai, but there must be limits. He's practically beating him to death. Easy there, "Don't kill him, that's bad luck." The commotion brought Dean Liang himself to close the door, giving father and son some privacy for a heart-to-heart. Given the chance to open up, Wu Yan hesitated, a slight tremor in his voice. He realized delegating tasks to Fu Ning had been a brilliant move. What a weight off his shoulders. Fu Ning scrutinized Wu Yan from head to toe, her gaze sharp and assessing. "I hear that among this year's new students," she began, "one has awakened a zero ability. Is that you?" Wu Yan replied, "Yes, it is." It seemed Wu Yan also sensed the unusual intensity in Fu Ning's stare. "Why does she keep staring at me like that? It's unnerving," he thought. "Time to drop this charade. One more stare and I'm docking your pay," Wu Yan warned. Fu Ning stepped closer, pointing directly at him. "The replication ability is considered a special ability. So why can't your star ranking be measured?" Caught off guard by her sudden proximity, Wu Yan instinctively recoiled. Instructor Fu Ning continued her train of thought, her words trailing off. "In the past, we've had students awaken with unique abilities, possessing the power to replicate others' skills. This wouldn't affect the star level assessment. There's only one reason the machine wouldn't be able to register your level, and that's if your ability surpasses the device's measuring capacity." "I wonder," Instructor Fu Ning murmured to herself, "what's she planning? Could it be that she's uncovered the secret Wu Yan is trying so hard to hide?" Panicked that his secret might be exposed, Wu Yan rushed to deny it, scrambling for an excuse. "That's impossible. Haha. If that were true, I would have been famous a long time ago. Why would I even bother with the entrance exam? Instructor Fu Ning, you're such a kidder. Don't tease me." However, Instructor Fu Ning wasn't about to let him off the hook. She stepped closer, gently lifting Wu Yan's chin with a knowing look in her eyes. "Don't be so sure. Still waters run deep, as they say. I wonder if you're that type of person?" He tried his best to hide it, to not reveal any weaknesses. "Haha, you're definitely not modest. Otherwise, you wouldn't have dared to confront Ouyang Hao directly." Everything unfolded exactly as Wu Yan had predicted. "I knew this girl wasn't just anyone." Surprisingly, this time, Fu Ning didn't exchange pleasantries for long. "You're right. If I were modest, I'd be having tea and chatting with you right now. Anyway, there will be plenty of opportunities to meet after enrollment." Then she dropped a suggestive line, as if hinting she would be watching Wu Yan's every move from now on. "I'll take good care of you, student. Headmaster Liang. Please come to the office to discuss some matters regarding the new semester." "All right." With much to attend to, Fu Ning quickly took her leave. "Yes, this way please." But did anyone notice that Headmaster Liang's outfit had changed? "I wish I could change outfits as fast as he does." Wu Yan patiently waited until the two figures disappeared into the distance. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief, a weight lifted from his chest. Thankfully, she hadn't used her terrifying speed. Outside the window, night had fallen. The mystical night sky was adorned with thousands of twinkling stars, shining brilliantly. After a long and exhausting day, Wu Yan finally returned to his room. He stretched out comfortably and lay down on the soft bed. Meanwhile, in the next room, Kada was filled with worry for his friend. "Wu Yan, Teacher Liang asked about you and Ouyang Hao," Kada said anxiously. Wu Yan replied calmly, his tone unchanged. "Ouyang Hao has been expelled." The short answer stunned Kuda. He could hardly believe his ears. "Expelled? Impossible. His father is a member of the school's board of directors." Kuda looked at Wu Yan lying relaxed on the bed, a puzzled expression on his face. "He's just lying on the bed, but why do I feel like he's basking in the sun on a beach?" "Precisely because his father is a member of the board of directors. The school had to take stricter action. This academy was founded with a noble purpose, to train courageous warriors, heroes who will stand against the evil forces of the demonic realm. It's not meant to tolerate division, factions, or internal strife. Focus on your training and self-improvement. Leave everything else to me." Kada breathed a sigh of relief, a weight lifted from his shoulders. "I thought you might cover up their wrongdoing, shield them from punishment. After all, this world is far from perfect. Dark corners always exist." "Thank you, Wu Yan," Kada said, his cheeks flushed with a shy blush. From the way he speaks, his bashful demeanor, I bet he's fallen for Wu Yan. Hearing these words, Wu Yan became even more bewildered. Thank me for what? You once said that a 1-star could defeat a 3-star. Those words gave me the strength and belief to overcome adversity. Keita replied, do you think a high-level awakening grants you an absolute advantage? The training that follows is far more critical. Don't overthink it. Just Yong Wang Jiqian, forge ahead. Hearing those encouraging words, Keita felt a surge of strength and confidence. Wu Yan, intrigued, sprang up from his seat. Your ability amplifies strength, right? In the future, you'll definitely be highly sought after. People will want to control you. When that time comes, promise me you'll give my offer serious consideration. Think of me first. Keita suddenly drifted into a reverie, lost in memories of the past. My current strength is quite limited. I can only provide a small boost. Enhance the attack power of the central position, nothing more. If I'm not a burden, if I don't hold others back, I'll consider myself lucky. Hearing Keita's self-deprecating words, Wu Yan offered words of comfort and encouragement. Sometimes, victory or defeat hinges on a single moment, a stroke of luck. The next morning, the class bell rang out, sharp and clear. The students had all gathered, not a single one missing, present in the classroom, ready for the upcoming lesson. Wu Yan turned to Xiaoying and asked, what are we learning about today? The bell just rang, and Keita's already nodding off, his head practically on the desk. He looks exactly like me whenever the teacher walks in. Xiaoying grumbled in annoyance. He didn't even bother glancing at the schedule anymore. The first class was obviously theoretical knowledge. Is he planning to throw us straight into a practical dungeon? Shouldn't we cover some theory first? Wu Yan suddenly remembered. Oh right. He himself had established the principle of combining theory with practice, but he'd completely forgotten by the time class rolled around. See, even the person who wrote the lesson plan forgot. So how could the students possibly remember? Wu Yan slumped onto his desk, a look of utter boredom on his face. I'm no bookworm. Now I'm stuck in school, he thought. How am I supposed to endure these agonizingly long 3 hours? And then, the teacher walked in and began to introduce herself. Hello everyone, I'm your theory instructor for this class. Despite being a teacher, she looked as young and beautiful as a student. You can call me Kelly, it's more friendly. The classroom fell silent, instantly captivated by the young teacher's adorable appearance. Kelly's beauty wasn't just mesmerizing for the boys, even the girls were awestruck. The legendary Ku Li. After all this anticipation, we finally get to meet her. Wow, she's not just drop-dead gorgeous, but she also exudes such a noble aura. Truly a masterpiece. So adorable, absolutely precious. Words can't even describe it. Even Kuda, who was sound asleep, was instantly jolted awake by this breathtaking beauty. Xiaoying looked at his dumbfounded expression with a bored look. Look at you, drooling like a fool. Meanwhile, Wu Yan had drifted off to dreamland without anyone noticing. While teasing Kuda, Xiaoying couldn't deny the powerful allure of Ku Li's beauty either. I have to admit, she's incredibly cute. Wu Yan was roused by the commotion. He groggily rubbed his eyes, his face still hazy with sleep. Adorable? What's adorable? Oh, it's Ku Li. Despite being a teacher, her writing posture seemed a bit peculiar. Let's just blame the artist for drawing it wrong. Ku Li, 27 years old, a 4-star awakened. In just a year, he had skyrocketed to a 5-star ranking. His special ability, Encyclopedia, was truly extraordinary. Every piece of information, every single word from every book he'd ever read was perfectly stored within his brilliant mind. He was considered the top candidate, a prodigious genius in theoretical academics. However, in the past, Wu Yan had committed unforgivable acts, made inexcusable mistakes, especially towards Kylie. It was clear to everyone that his actions were just begging for a slap across the face. Utterly uncharming. Despite having the chance to see her often, he never tired of gazing upon her beauty. Kylie began her lecture, her voice resonating through the classroom. From today onwards, we will be delving into the knowledge related to conquering dungeons. Everyone, please take thorough notes. This information is crucial. You must master it. Don't let the seemingly dry and boring textbook knowledge cause you to neglect your studies. Could the students below possibly absorb any of the lecture? Only one thing was certain. They were all completely captivated, lost in the irresistible charm. And so, the class began their first lesson, guided by Kelly, a classroom full of well-behaved, attentive children. All right, everyone, please open your books to page 5. Today, we'll be learning about exploring F-rank dungeons. Time passed by, and a peaceful quiet settled over the classroom. Kelly closed her book, signaling the end of the lesson. That concludes today's lesson. I'll send your homework to your email addresses. Make sure to complete it and submit it on time. Looking at this scene, I'm certain that every student listened attentively. Who could resist such sweet, captivating beauty? No, goodbye, Kelly. Before leaving the classroom, Teacher Kelly didn't forget to offer a warm farewell to her students. Goodbye, everyone. Her sweet voice echoed through the room, filling the space with her charm and adorable presence. Because of this, Xiao Ying's softly curled bangs seemed even more endearing. In fact, he felt this girl radiated even more charm and beauty than Kelly. Hey, what did you two learn from that lecture? Xiao Ying turned, giving her two friends beside her a skeptical look. Learn? Learn what? We understood everything, obviously. Just looking was enough to understand. The whole time, the only thing that lingered in the minds of the two friends was the teacher's captivating allure. But honestly, that artist's drawing style was truly bizarre. Xiao Ying sighed in exasperation, looking at them with disdain. Whatever. Next week, we have the mandatory dungeon practice, a crucial combat test. If you don't get the required credits, I won't be able to pull you two up to the next level. Wu Yan picked his nose playfully and said, teasingly, Ying, weren't you also not paying attention to the lecture just now? Xiao Ying was slightly annoyed by these words. Sharp words, incredibly eloquent, flowed effortlessly from Xiao Ying's mouth. After hearing Xiao Ying's serious reminder, Kuda suddenly remembered and exclaimed worriedly, next week is the practice already? Oh my god! Wu Yan, on the other hand, maintained his strangely innocent and adorable expression. So cute, Xiao Ying said, her voice laced with exasperation. F-rank dungeon 2-star awakening. If we have the guild certificate, we can enter the dungeon. However, the F-rank dungeon chosen by the academy is quite safe. It's been explored for a long time and there are already strategy guides available. She stretched tiredly and sighed. I hope in the next 2 days, you two will focus more on the lectures. Don't just fumble around blindly in the dungeon. You can kiss your passing grade goodbye. For some reason, at this moment, her hearing became incredibly sharp, able to pick up conversations from afar. I heard that among the new students at Chui Feng Academy this year, there's someone who awakened with a 5-star ability. Whoa, isn't that the definition of a genius? 5-star awakenings are incredibly rare in this world. You can count them on one hand. That's incredibly rare. But why would such an exceptional student choose Chui Feng Academy? They should have come to our Yen Xian Academy. I heard it was their own choice. Really? Are those three sure about that? The three of them stood a good distance away, silently eavesdropping to catch the whole story. Does Kadat have any idea who this 5-star ability user is? Xiao Ying pondered after hearing the entire conversation. Who could it be? It's someone in our class. Besides our beautiful teacher. Haven't you two paid attention to any of our other classmates? But suddenly, like a flash of lightning, she sensed something amiss and quickly averted her gaze. Suddenly, a rhythmic series of footsteps echoed, slowly approaching them. Each step seemed to tap into their curiosity. Even from behind, the girl's figure exuded an ethereal, captivating beauty. She brushed past Xiao on like a gentle breeze, light yet mesmerizing. I just have one small question. Why does the author insist on giving every character in this story skin so delicate and easily flushed, thinner than paper? It would be better to dress more daringly, to shed all clothing, than to have a girl with hair as deep blue as the ocean depths and mysterious patterns adorning her face walk into the classroom. Looking at Xiao Ying's expression, there's no need for words. She's completely captivated by this breathtaking, world-toppling beauty. And then, as if remembering something, Xiao Ying suddenly pointed at the mysterious girl. It's her. None other than Qin Feifei. Who knows? Is our main character mesmerized by this breathtaking beauty, or is there a hidden reason yet to be revealed? I'm really hoping it's something special. The classroom erupted in a flurry of whispers and admiring gasps. Wow! Look, isn't that this year's top freshman? Absolutely stunning. Gazing at Fei Fei's graceful figure from behind, memories of a past life flooded back into Wu Yan's mind. Qin Fei Fei, to think that in this life we would become fellow disciples. When I first met Qin Fei Fei, she was a successful 30-year-old woman. We fought side by side, together, for 25 long years. She was the strongest female warrior, recognized and admired by all. Every battle she fought ended in glorious victory. But then, without warning, the sky turned stormy, dark clouds gathering ominously, unleashing terrifying bolts of lightning. A sword plunged into the cold earth, its blade stained crimson with fresh blood. Fei Fei lay dying, her breath shallow and weak. Thank goodness she's still alive. Shuer, please help me take care of her. The rain intensified, each drop heavy as it plummeted to the earth. But Wu Yan seemed oblivious to it all, his body completely numb. Wu Yan remained silent and still, sitting motionless beside his comrade's lifeless body. Around them, there was no one, no sound but the relentless downpour. An eerie silence blanketed everything. Pain surged through Wu Yan, as horrific memories from his past life flooded back, tormenting his mind. A wave of sadness washed over his face, etching worry into his features. Noticing the shift in Wu Yan's expression, his two friends approached, their eyes filled with concern. Only when Wu Yan snapped back to reality did he see the worry etched on their faces. Xiaoying asked, puzzled, "What's wrong? We should leave here." Wu Yan rubbed his head, searching for an excuse. "Haha. It's nothing, don't worry." Then the three of them left together. But Wu Yan couldn't help himself. He glanced back at his fallen comrade, grief tearing at his heart. Was someone watching him? Unease prickled his skin. Fei Fei, too, sensed those unseen eyes, but she couldn't place their owner. When she turned, Wu Yan had already looked away, masking his emotions. Fei Fei gently pulled a small object from her pocket, her gaze fixed on the photo within. It seemed to be a vintage pocket watch. Inside, a picture of a mother and child beamed with warmth. The way Fei Fei held the watch spoke volumes about how much she treasured it. Fei Fei told herself she was being paranoid. Lately, she'd been on edge, her mood volatile. "What were you saying just now? Something about being good?" she asked suddenly. "Oh, nothing. Just thinking about what we should have for dinner," Wu Yan said with a forced smile. "Right, what should we eat?" The three of them cheerfully discussed dinner plans while Fei Fei quietly slipped away, observing the coldness between them. Unbelievable. What a shocking revelation. In their past lives, they were the closest of comrades. Fighting side by side, they conquered every battlefield together. Famished, the group decided to find a restaurant to satisfy their rumbling stomachs. The restaurant's name is so bizarre, I can't even pronounce. Wu Yan held a hamburger, a puzzled expression on his face. "Weren't we supposed to be studying for the exam back at the dorm?" He shot a suspicious glance at Xiaoying, his eyes full of questions. "If you're struggling in your studies, you should stay home and hit the books," she sternly lectured Kuda and me. "So why drag me out here now? Of course, we need to study." But I suddenly remembered something really important. Seeing Xiaoying eat so heartily is just adorable. In my humble opinion, she's the prettiest girl in this whole story. Wu Yan took a bite of his hamburger and asked curiously, "What are you looking at?" Xiaoying pulled out her phone, carefully reviewing the contents of a chat. After checking, the girl spoke softly, a hint of mystery in her voice. "Perhaps, they're almost here." Her cryptic words left Wu Yan completely baffled and confused. Just then, from outside the shop, a gentle tapping sound echoed against the glass door. A young man with vibrant red hair, Hua Xian, stood outside. He flashed a bright smile and waved at them. Wu Yan stared in bewilderment. "Hua Xian? What's he doing here?" Xiaoying, however, was thrilled. "Could this be a delightful surprise?" she exclaimed. The shop bell chimed merrily, announcing the arrival of a new customer. Hua Xian approached their table with a cheerful greeting. "Hello, everyone." Xiaoying quickly introduced him to the others. "This is Li Cadet, Wu Yan's friend and roommate." Cadet had a naive, childlike appearance, with a smudge of food still on his cheek. He mumbled shyly, "Hello." Hua Xian extended his hand, firmly grasping Cadet's hesitant hand. The unexpected handshake startled Cadet slightly. "Hey, Kada," he said, a bright smile spreading across his face, feigning delight at the encounter. "If I didn't see this reaction from you," Wu Yan said suspiciously, "I'd think Hua Xian had been completely captivated by Kata's beauty." For a moment, Wu Yan observed Hua Xian with a puzzled look. He seemed strangely different. You feel like a completely different person, Wu Yan remarked, like, much more mature and grown up. Hearing Wu Yan's comment, Hua Xian turned, his gaze meeting Wu Yan's directly. Really? Compared to someone who's been an old soul since childhood like you, Hua Xian retorted playfully, I've still got a long way to go. That doesn't mean you shouldn't welcome him, Keita interjected, breaking the tension. Wu Yan looked at Keita, a warm feeling blossoming in his chest. The three exchanged greetings, the atmosphere thawing into something friendlier and more welcoming. Good to see you guys. It's been ages, hasn't it? Hua Xian exclaimed. Yeah, long time no see, Wu Yan replied. Hua Xian pulled up a chair and sat down. Xiaoying then began to recount the story. 6 months after his transformation, Hua Xian had moved to the United States. It had been 3, maybe 4 years since they last saw each other. Xiaoying rested her chin on her hand, her eyes fixed on Hua Xian, lost in a dreamy, almost love-struck gaze. This time back, are you planning on staying for a while, Hua Xian? Indeed, Hua Xian had undergone a remarkable transformation. He calmly replied, yeah, I officially joined the guild. Kata looked skeptical, a question clearly on his mind. But aren't you still studying like us? How do you have time for the guild? Hua Xian reminisced about his time studying at the American branch campus. He had enrolled a year earlier than his friends. After a moment of thought, Kata ventured a guess. So you must be a sophomore, right? But why join the guild so early? Because there was an incident in the dungeon, Hua Xian replied. Hua Xian's words landed like a bucket of cold water. The air in the room suddenly grew thick with tension. The initial relaxed atmosphere vanished completely. Hua Xian's words unintentionally reached Wu Yan's ears. His face darkened, a palpable tension etched across his features. Perhaps, even he didn't understand what was happening. Hua Xian slammed his fist on the table, unable to contain his anger. His voice was filled with rage. The normal gate leading to the dungeon. Initially, it was erected as an impenetrable fortress, separating reality from a hidden, mystical realm. Its purpose was to safeguard humanity, shielding the world from the brutal invasion of the demonic horde. But then, Hua Xian's voice began to tremble, faltering with each word. No one knew the horrific tragedies he had endured in the past, tragedies that now etched themselves onto his face as profound resentment and humiliation. For some unknown reason, Hua Xian turned his gaze towards Wu Yan. His voice choked with anguish as tears streamed down his cheeks. My parents were murdered by a demonic beast that escaped from the instance dungeon. What? Wu Yan gasped, unable to comprehend the words he had just heard. He was so stunned that his body froze, and he instinctively shot up from his chair. The chair clattered to the floor behind him, the sudden noise echoing in the room. Fighting back his grief, Hua Xian recounted the entire incident to Wu Yan. I reported it to the Hunters Association, but no one believed me. After killing my parents, the demonic beast vanished without a trace. I don't have any proof. As Hua Xian spoke of this heartbreaking event, the image of the monstrous creature before its demise suddenly flashed in Wu Yan's mind. The demon lord will return. He silently dropped his head onto the table, unable to contain the overwhelming surge of emotions. A stark contrast to the vibrant, smiling young man of just moments ago. That smile had vanished. I decided to withdraw from the American branch campus a month ago. Immediately after returning home, I joined the guild. I desperately wanted to see Master S. I needed to report to him about what happened that day. Seeing Hua Xian consumed by grief, Xiaoying yearned to comfort him, to share his burden. Hua Xian, your aunt and I are so sorry. We are filled with regret for letting you shoulder all of this alone. But deep down, she knew that no matter what she said now, it wouldn't change the situation or ease the pain in his heart. Images of the past remained vividly etched in Hua Xian's mind. He couldn't fathom how he had survived that horrific moment, witnessing his parents' agonizing deaths. Grief gnawed at his soul. The tragedy had struck so suddenly. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it myself. Suddenly, Wu Yan's phone rang. He quickly pulled it out to see who was calling. This unexpected call interrupted Hua Xian's somber story. Wu Yan hesitated for a moment, glancing at the caller ID, then stood up. I think it's my parents. I'll just take this outside. Phone still ringing, he hurried out of the cafe to answer. He quickly stepped outside the cafe to answer, but it wasn't an incoming call. Wu Yan had placed the call himself. Hello, Funing?
Urgent.
Convene the 5 stars immediately. After hearing Hua Xian's story, a sense of foreboding washed over Wu Yan. He sensed impending danger and wasted no time in alerting the others. "Yes, Masteress," the voice on the other end responded. Because Wu Yan hadn't yet changed his form, his voice sounded different than usual. Fu Ning immediately grasped the gravity of the situation. The impending problem was far more serious than she had initially imagined. "This secret, my voice doesn't matter anymore. The crucial thing is, come to my office for a meeting in an hour." "Yes." After giving Fu Ning her instructions, Wu Yan abruptly hung up the phone. He took a deep breath, composing himself before returning to the cafe. He quickly concocted an excuse to explain the sudden phone call. "My parents, they want to change their return date. It's nothing serious. But, dude, I have something incredibly urgent to take care of." Seeing Wu Yan about to leave, Xiao Ying's displeasure was evident. "Wu Yan, Hua Xian's matters are the most important right now." Unexpectedly, Wu Yan placed a hand on Hua Xian's shoulder. He was surprised by the gesture, but didn't brush him off. Before leaving, Wu Yan looked Hua Xian directly in the eyes, his expression serious, and said, "I'll come find you tonight. Give me your address." Hua Xian was taken aback by the sudden request, a flicker of confusion in his eyes, but as he met Wu Yan's unwavering, serious gaze, he nodded in agreement. "Sure, fine." Xiao Ying's displeasure was evident. She looked ready to unleash a torrent of anger and accusations at Wu Yan. Fortunately, Hua Xian intervened just in time. "It's okay, Ying. I'm sure Wu Yan has something important to take care of. Let him handle it." With Hua Xian speaking up for him, Xiao Ying couldn't press Wu Yan any further. Fine. Sorry, I'll see you tonight." With that, Wu Yan quickly excused himself. Wu Yan then transformed, altering his appearance and physique before rushing off to an urgent meeting. He delivered grave news to the assembled group. There had been a critical anomaly with the dimensional gate. Several demonic creatures had escaped the instance dungeon and infiltrated the real world. Looking at the horrified expressions on everyone's faces, a palpable tension and fear filled the air. Wu Yan commanded sternly, "From this day forward, everyone must prioritize strict surveillance of the dungeon's gate, along with any unusual activity within the 7 critical zones. We cannot afford to overlook a single suspicious sign, no matter how small. Every report from citizens, or any information from guild hunters, must be thoroughly investigated. Deploy personnel immediately to clarify every detail. Is that understood?" Those present immediately obeyed Wu Yan's orders without hesitation. "This meeting is adjourned." The members quickly dispersed, urgently carrying out the directives Wu Yan had just issued. Fu Ning observed quietly until everyone had left, leaving only the 2 of them in the room. She turned, anxiously asking Wu Yan, "Master, the world beyond that gate, or rather, that world, what kind of place is it really?" Wu Yan didn't rush to answer. He silently lit a cigarette, as if to mask the contemplation and growing unease within him. His gaze drifted upwards to the ceiling, lost in thought. "It's hell." Horrific memories from the past flooded back, haunting his mind. The sky tore open, ripped to shreds like silk by an unseen hand. From the gaping black rifts in space, hordes of terrifying monsters poured out, a relentless torrent of nightmares. Leading the charge was the brutal Demon King, the sovereign of darkness. He came with a single purpose, to annihilate the human world, leaving only ashes in his wake. The world was engulfed in a sea of fire and blood, a horrifying landscape indistinguishable from hell itself. This was the apocalypse, the final hour of humanity. The bloodthirsty monsters slaughtered humans without mercy. They treated human lives like weeds, butchering them with savage cruelty. Their wickedness would make even demons tremble in fear. Perhaps even hell itself would seem merciful compared to this horrific spectacle. The image of the brutal Demon King, a savage grin twisting his lips as he laid waste to everything, transforming the beautiful human world into a desolate ruin, remained etched in Wu Yan's mind, a recurring nightmare. But this was no time to wallow in grief and despair. Wu Yan took a deep breath, steeling his nerves. Something suddenly occurred to him. "The god-level dungeon how many have cleared it so far?" Fu Ning immediately reported. "My lord, aside from yourself, no one has yet conquered this dungeon." Wu Yan sighed, his expression grave. Hearing the disastrous results, his face darkened. "This is not good at all," he muttered. "Quickly arrange 5 stars for me, he commanded sharply. No matter how many attempts it takes, we must overcome this obstacle. Fu Ning furrowed her brow, a look of confusion washing over her. Is the situation that dire? Could it be? She was unaware of the realization that had just dawned on Wu Yan. A shiver ran down his spine, a sudden jolt of electricity. That name, it's completely unexpected, Wu Yan exclaimed, astonishment etched on his face. His face? He looks so cunning, he murmured, disgust lacing his tone. Wu Yan abruptly turned to Fu Ning with a completely unrelated question. What color underwear are you wearing today? Looking at the contempt in Fu Ning's eyes, one could be certain that, if Wu Yan wasn't her superior, she would have beaten him to a pulp. Sure enough, a resounding crack echoed. The result, a large lump sprouted on Wu Yan's head. Fu Ning stormed off, fuming, muttering as she went, Mr. S, no wonder you're eternally single. Excuse me, no wonder I can never have a serious conversation with you. Wu Yan hurried after her, cutting her off. Fu Ning, wait, don't go, honey. I was just kidding. I'll never believe you again. This is too much. Fu Ning, in a fit of rage, slammed the door shut. She stormed out of the office without a backward glance. Once Fu Ning was gone, Wu Yan stood up and walked away from the mirror. His expression turned serious, a calculating glint in his eyes. Turned out this was all a ruse, a way for Wu Yan to avoid revealing the truth to Fu Ning. Fu Ning, I'm sorry, he murmured to himself. I haven't figured out how to tell you this properly. It's best not to frighten you just yet. Wu Yan stood alone in silence, enclosed by the four walls of the empty room. He gazed out the window, where the sunlight seemed to mock the heavy worry in his heart. This anxiety, this overwhelming sense of dread, wasn't good. He needed to find the right moment to reveal this truth to the entire world. Right now, building sufficient combat strength remains the top priority. In the long run, constantly concealing his identity and shifting forms will become increasingly complex and dangerous. Wu Yan's true reflection stared back at him from the mirror. Suddenly, a sharp ringing shattered the silence. The abrupt sound cut through Wu Yan's weary train of thought. Speak of the devil. It seemed his thoughts had manifested into reality. Wu Yan answered the call without hesitation. That tone, you sound like you're afraid of something. Xiao Ying's furious roar on the other end practically pierced his eardrum. Wu Yan, where in the world are you? Her shriek made Wu Yan jump, nearly sending his phone plummeting to the floor. His previous composure vanished in an instant. Panic set in and he stammered out a reply. I'm on my way, since he hadn't yet changed his appearance. His voice remained a raspy, aged croak. This led Xiao Ying to believe he was intentionally teasing her. Are you pinching your throat and putting on a voice for me? What are you hiding? What's going on? Wu Yan bolted, scrambling away as fast as his legs could carry him. Terrified of inciting her wrath, he vanished from the building in the blink of an eye. I had a frog in my throat this whole time. Where are you? Where are you now? Wu Yan unleashed his inner King Kong, leaping from rooftop to rooftop. In moments, he landed in the sprawling branches of an ancient tree. I'm back at the dorm. Come out here. I need to talk to you. I don't understand why, at this point in the story, Wu Yan wants to see Xiao Ying. His behavior is so confusing, like he's having a secret rendezvous. Xiao Ying was seething with anger. She suspected he was up to no good, hiding something from her. Explain yourself. Tell me what's going on. Are you seeing someone behind my back? Having a secret affair? Why else would you leave Hua Xan alone? And sneak off somewhere else? What's so urgent? Wu Yan scrambled for an excuse, eager to escape the argument. Engrossed in her heated exchange with Wu Yan, Xiao Ying was completely oblivious to someone quietly entering the room. It was her roommate. She looked puzzled, seeing Xiao Ying's frustration. Who are you arguing with on the phone? Your boyfriend. Noticing her roommate's arrival and apparent disapproval, Xiao Ying quickly hung up. It wasn't that idiot Wu Yan. At some point, unnoticed, her roommate had settled onto the adjacent bed. Looking at Xiao Ying's expression, she asked with concern, "What's wrong? Something bothering you?" Xiao Ying began to explain the source of her frustration. He's been disappearing lately. I don't know what he's up to. I'm worried. I'm really worried about him. What's there to worry about? I don't know if or not, but I have a bad feeling. Looks like this girl has a soft spot for Xiao Ying. Just look at that knowing smile. Goodness, she's absolutely mesmerizing. She subtly hints at Xiao Ying's feelings. It's obvious you have feelings for him. Why not just confess? At the word confess, Xiaoying blushes crimson, flustered and caught off guard. She stammers a quick denial. I don't like him. We're just childhood friends, we grew up together. His parents asked me to look after him, that's all. Why would I like someone poor and powerless like him? He has nothing. Suddenly, the pink-haired girl's hand appears right in front of Xiaoying's face. When did she get so close? The pink-haired girl leans in closer. What happens next is up to your own interpretation. I'm not spilling any secrets, hee. Girl talk, you know. However, the woman's hand seemed larger compared to Xiaoying's delicate one. She held Xiaoying's hand with utmost gentleness and care. Xiaoying blushed, shy under this intimate gesture. The woman gently drew them closer, face to face, then softly released Xiaoying's hand. If you don't like him, could you perhaps consider me? Whoa, the posture of these two is way too adult. Let's all just admire and interpret this for ourselves. I'm not even going to comment. Look at that older sister's expression. She's totally smitten. Xiaoying is absolutely stunning. God, if I were Xiaoying, I'd be in love with myself. If you're not interested in him, maybe you could consider me? Xiaoying's cheeks flushed a delicate pink as she shyly replied, I'm straight. But in my opinion, going from straight to curved isn't a big deal. Oh my God. Her next line really resonated with me. The world is completely different now. Why bother so much about being straight or gay? Xiaoying started to say something but stopped, words failing her. Don't be so quick to limit yourself. Migua, stop it, or I'll get angry. If Xiaoying doesn't say anything else, where will her hand wander next? Look at that adorable giggle. Her body is just scorching hot, incredibly seductive. If I were in Xiaoying's shoes, I'd have melted by now. Out of the way, ladies. I was just teasing you. Look how scared you are. But I have a feeling Xiaoying actually enjoyed that, don't you think? A few playful teases for her friend. I can tell you've never experienced the taste of love. Xiaoying turned away in a huff, refusing to even glance at her. I know you're just teasing me. Though her words said one thing, deep down in her heart, she felt quite differently. But you were holding me down so hard. Even if I wanted to resist, I couldn't move an inch. Oh, weren't you enjoying it though? A few words of advice for her dear friend. Honestly, all guys like girls who take the initiative. If you just wait for him to make the first move, who knows how long it'll take. Oh my gosh, look at how flustered you are. It's absolutely adorable. Migua drifted into a thoughtful silence. There are some things that, if you don't do soon, you might regret later. Hearing these words, Xiaoying suddenly bolted upright, lost in thought, startling Migua who was sitting next to her. She sat in serious contemplation for a moment. Then, as if realizing something, Xiaoying shook her head vehemently. No way, I swear I'll never confess to him, she declared firmly. Don't let that polite, righteous facade fool you, Xiaoying complained. Underneath it all, he's full of dirty tricks. So shameless. I'd rather wait for my Prince Charming, she scoffed. But, Xiaoying hesitated, glancing at Xiao Yan's handsome face. Looking closer, they actually look quite good together, she exclaimed in surprise. They're both obsessed with looks. But even more surprising, the Prince Charming of her dreams was none other than Wu Yan. Even in her fantasies, his image was incredibly perverted. What color underwear are you wearing? Wu Yan's voice echoed in Xiaoying's mind. Xiaoying suddenly felt a jolt of panic and fear. She couldn't understand why she was having such bizarre thoughts. Seeing Xiaoying's flustered and bewildered expression, her friends couldn't help but giggle. Well, I didn't say who it was, one of the girls teased. Outside the window, the full moon cast a gentle glow, bathing the leaves in a soft, silvery light. Elsewhere, Wu Yan had just hung up after an infuriating call with Xiaoying. He was completely flustered, unsure of how to respond. She hung up on me, he muttered to himself. She must be really mad. Oh well, let it be. I have to go to the memorial service tomorrow anyway. It was late at night as Wu Yan slowly walked back to his room. Suddenly, something unusual happened along the way. He narrowed his eyes, observing the scene in front of him. Astonishment was written all over his face. He couldn't comprehend what was happening. It turned out that there was someone standing ahead. Despite the considerable distance, Wu Yan recognized her immediately. Fei, is she training? Wu Yan wondered silently. Fei stomped her foot hard on the ground. The ground shook violently. Countless rocks were sent flying into the air. They hung suspended mid-air, as if under her control. Witnessing the scene before him and the level of destruction, Wu Yan felt that something was wrong. This is bad. She's destroying the school grounds, he exclaimed internally. But Feifei didn't seem to care in the slightest. She was completely focused on her training. Before she could process the strange object appearing before her eyes, Qin Feifei swiftly snatched it. She immediately hurled it into the air. A deafening explosion ripped through the air, like a bomb detonating. I wonder if this counts as property damage, Wu Yan thought to himself. Wu Yan recalled his memories of Qin Feifei after her awakening. 5 years ago, he had secretly peeked at her enrollment information and the scores. From her physical examination, all her stats were the highest of that year's intake. With such extraordinary abilities, why hadn't she joined any guilds? Wu Yan's rebirth had changed many things. He hoped his teammates and master would have peaceful and fulfilling lives in this world. Suddenly, Qin Feifei sensed someone approaching. She spun around, startled, and saw Wu Yan walking towards her. As it turned out, Feifei's observation skills were incredibly sharp. Wu Yan offered a friendly smile and struck up a conversation with Qin Feifei. Hey Qin Feifei, I'm Wu Yan. We're in the same class. I figured you were here to train too, right? Feifei responded to Wu Yan's greeting with a friendly openness. Wu Yan quickly denied it, shaking his head. No, not at all. I just happened to be passing by and saw you practicing, so I stopped to watch. Feifei suddenly looked embarrassed as she mentioned the massive crater she'd created. Ah, that hole. I'll restore it after I'm done practicing. Don't worry, Wu Yan thought to himself. I wasn't planning on reporting you anyway. Although it was their first meeting in this lifetime, their conversation flowed surprisingly naturally and comfortably. Are you ready for the forced instance dungeon next week? Feifei asked abruptly. Yes, I'm ready, Wu Yan replied confidently. Feifei unexpectedly stepped closer to Wu Yan, one step at a time. She got straight to the point without beating around the bush. Will you be competing with me for first place in this exam? Wu Yan was a little puzzled by the sudden question. Why do you ask? Ah, Feifei said, a look of understanding dawning on her face. It's because I heard that during the entrance exam, you helped Li Ku. Helping a stranger against someone powerful requires a great deal of courage. People like that usually have their own strong convictions and are very proactive. I can sense it, you're strong. But my goal is the championship. You don't have to go easy on me. I'll earn it with my own strength. Wu Yan's expression showed surprise at this declaration. After her bold statement, Feifei suddenly became embarrassed. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound so abrupt. It's just, I have my reasons for needing to win. Well, she's got spunk. I'll give her that, Wu Yan thought to himself. She's not resorting to threats. She wants to earn it through hard work. Despite these blunt words from his former teammate, someone who had always fought by his side, Wu Yan had no intention of backing down. It's all right, he mused. You've made your intentions clear, and I won't hold back. Memories of his past life flooded Wu Yan's mind. Feifei was truly a formidable warrior. She had vanquished countless ferocious monsters. Wu Yan believed that Feifei's determination was a sign of respect towards him. The conversation ended. Feifei said nothing more. The girl persevered in her training, determined to achieve her goal. Once again, she flawlessly executed the familiar techniques. Wu Yan watched from the side, anxiety gnawing at him, sweat dripping from his brow. With a simple, gentle clench of her fist, she unleashed a devastating explosion, the force of it earth-shattering. After her display of power, she fixed Wu Yan with a sharp, commanding gaze. Her eyes declared, I will never give up, sending a shiver down Wu Yan's spine, a chill that reached the very marrow of his bones. With long, powerful strides, she approached the strange door without a trace of fear or hesitation. Turned out this was all part of a lesson. Kylie explained that the door was a portal leading to a dungeon instance. Based on the information gathered, the origin of these mysterious portals was believed to be connected to a strange anomaly that occurred 5 years ago. Beyond the portal lay an isolated space, a world entirely separate from their own. A hush fell over the classroom as everyone listened intently to listen to Instructor Kelly's captivating lecture. She then began to divide the students into groups. Each group would consist of 30 people and have 2 hours to complete the challenge. Students in Group B, Please manage your time wisely. After 2.5 hours, everyone return here for the exam. Despite their immense admiration for Instructor Kelly, a wave of anxiety washed over the students. Instructor Kelly, are there demonic creatures in there? Yes, there are, and they respawn every 3 hours. Currently, the reason for this respawning mechanism is unknown. Perhaps it's related to the instance's time settings. Just focus on the lectures in class, and completing the instance will be a breeze. The instructors have already explained the key PowerPoints, so remember them and add any necessary notes. According to the Academy's practical training rules, the leader of each group will receive a valuable spirit core. A wave of gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd at the mention of the enticing reward. A spirit core? What's that? A curious voice piped up, but it was puzzling. Why was everyone looking at her with such pity and concern? Cooley glanced at the girl with exasperation. How do you even study? She asked. Do you just not pay attention in class? Flustered and embarrassed, the girl stammered an apology, rubbing her head. I'm sorry, miss. I'm so sorry. All right, let me explain it again, Cooley said, pulling out a pair of rather peculiar-looking glasses and putting them on. Spirit cores are items dropped by dungeon bosses. Some dungeon monsters can also drop similar items resembling spirit cores. They are highly sought after and collected, used to accumulate practical experience points. Spirit cores can be exchanged for academic credits. The rarer the spirit core, the more credits you receive. Finally, the person with the most credits becomes the executor and receives special recruitment privileges in the future. It seemed the odd glasses had inadvertently dimmed Cooley's beauty, but they had a remarkable effect on the students' attention spans. Murmurs rippled through the classroom, a wave of hushed whispers filling the air. The highest scorer becomes a provisional enforcer. Exactly. A coveted position indeed. Wouldn't that guarantee us a lucrative career? This selection process is a huge motivator for us students. Could we just keep conquering F-rank dungeons, farm a ton of cores, and just win by overwhelming numbers? Haha, I think I've cracked the code. Kelly, maybe it's time you reminded everyone to focus. Alright, all students in Group A, prepare to enter the dungeon. Time for some real-world experience. Instead of just dry theory, practical experience offers far more profound and memorable lessons. Now everyone, listen to our beautiful instructor and proceed through the gate in an orderly fashion. Let's go. Let's go. We have Chin Feifei in our group, a true expert. Chances are, taking down the final boss won't be a problem for us. But let's focus on clearing out the dungeon's guards first. That's much more realistic. Who knows? Maybe we'll find a treasure chest filled with gold inside. I think so too. Feifei bravely stepped towards the mysterious door, without a trace of fear or hesitation. Without a moment's pause, she leaped through the doorway. Wu Yan and his two companions quickly followed behind. All three of them stepped through the door, entering another world. On the other side lay a completely different scene. A vast, dense forest. Lush, verdant trees and foliage covered everything. All of their classmates were already gathered there. Wu Yan scanned his surroundings, assessing the situation. Although he had promised Feifei the night before that he would compete with her for the top spot, in truth, he had chosen this instance. He knew every nook and cranny. He knew where the hidden boss was, and how to win. It was all part of his plan. A pang of guilt struck Wu Yan. He felt like he was cheating. As he hesitated, their adorable teacher squeezed through the door, as small and cute as a little bunny. Cooley pulled out a countdown timer and pressed start. Alright, I'll start the timer. Seeing Wu Yan still spacing out, Xiaoying nudged him gently, reminding him, hey, what are you still standing around for? Don't you see everyone's already started? Wu Yan startled, his face flushing with embarrassment. Everything felt so new and exciting to him. Unlike the seriousness of the others, Kuda was acting like a child. He was running around carefree, thrilled to explore everything, like he was on vacation. This instance is in a dense forest. It feels like we're on a camping trip. Haha, look at them. They look like a family, taking their kids on a picnic. Xiaoying led the group forward. Even though she said this is her first time in this instance, I'm sure we'll be safe. However, this trip involves knowledge we learned in class, and these two are always too distracted to pay attention in school. Come on, stick close to me. Keita, curious as a little sparrow, ran over to Xiaoying with a question. Hey, when do the guardians of this instance appear? She replied confidently, it'll be a while yet. We're still in the outer area. Though, you have to admit, the competitive spirit of the students this year is really impressive. They barely entered the instance and already formed groups. Seeing Xiao Ying so serious makes me adore her even more. Keita noticed Qin Feifei among one of the groups. She went straight towards the center all by herself as soon as she got in. Let's just focus on hunting guardians to accumulate points. First place is definitely out of our reach. Xiao Ying said unexpectedly, Keita, you're giving up too easily. No matter how strong the opponent, we can't surrender. Only by facing stronger opponents can we continuously improve. The two of them continued their lively discussion, while Wu Yan quietly walked behind them. He observed in silence, lost in thought. I need to calculate the timing precisely. The patrol will be here any minute. Should I intervene, or should I just stand by and watch? Wu Yan could clearly sense countless eyes secretly watching and scrutinizing them. He pondered. If he acted now, if he stepped in, Xiao Ying and Kuda would lose a valuable opportunity for real-world combat experience. Just being near Xiao Ying, I can't suppress my protective instincts. My hand would instinctively move to shield her first, and that way she'll never grow stronger, more decisive, more independent. The gap between me and my teammates would only widen. After a grueling internal debate, Wu Yan decided to hang back and observe in secret. He quickly left the ground, moving to a higher vantage point for a clearer view. But even so, worry gnawed at him. He thought, a little tension, facing danger head-on, that's a valuable lesson too. Wu Yan, do you hear something strange? Only then did the two stop arguing and turn to look, but before their eyes, Wu Yan had completely vanished. This was truly a cruel way to treat Xiao Ying. Her face drained of all color as Wu Yan abruptly disappeared. Where did he go? Keita, standing beside her, began to pace anxiously. Could the guards have kidnapped Wu Yan? Kidnapped Xiao Ying? Hearing this, she was so shocked she didn't know how to react. Xiao Ying's face was etched with worry and fear for Wu Yan's safety. Meanwhile, Wu Yan hovered above, silently berating himself.
I'm sorry, Xiao Ying.
This is a harsh lesson learned. Maybe it's better for both of us if I leave. Xiao Ying was consumed by relentless worry. She tried to calm herself down to regain her composure. Wu Yan can copy the guard's abilities. He'll be all right. I have to catch up to him. But what had caught Keita's eye, causing his face to suddenly cloud over with worry? The sight before him filled Keita with absolute terror, as if he had never witnessed anything so horrifying in his life. Keita frantically called out for Xiao Ying. Xiao Ying rushed to his side. Together, they followed Keita's gaze. Unbelievable, they had caught up so quickly. Not just one, but an entire pack was closing in. It was a pack of 2-star Yiling demonic beasts, ferocious second-level creatures. A horde of 2-star demonic beasts had caught their scent and were rapidly approaching. Each one wore a terrifyingly savage expression. It seemed the one-eyed rat was the leader of the pack. It was the size and shape of a fully grown man. If I ever encountered this monster in real life, I would faint on the spot. They gradually closed in on their prey. Xiao Ying and Keita froze, afraid to make a reckless move. They slowly retreated. Leaning in close, they whispered to each other. Xiao Ying, what should we do? These are real magical beasts. This is dangerous. Compared to those simulated magical beasts from the entrance exam, these are on a completely different level. Gnawing wolves are only equivalent to 2-star humans. What's there to be afraid of? Despite saying that, Kuda's heart was filled with anxiety. But there are 4 of them. You're a 3-star trapper, much stronger. I'm only a 2-star Kuyet Dai, much weaker than you. Can we really handle 4 ferocious gnawing wolves? What if they surround and attack us all at once? Xiao Ying tried to encourage her panicked teammate. Kuda, are we gonna back down from just a few measly 2-star magical beasts? How will we face stronger, more ferocious enemies in the future? Hearing that, Kuda seemed to regain his confidence. You're right, there's nothing to be afraid of. We're here to earn credits. I don't know. If they looked up now and saw Wu Yan up there, I wonder what their faces would look like. It would be quite amusing, though his heart ached with reluctance. Wu Yan knew this was a mission he had to undertake. Xiao Ying, I can't always be by your side to protect you. You must be strong, you must learn to stand on your own 2 feet. But Xiao Ying was still just a child, innocent and naive. Though the distance was vast, Wu Yan watched over Xiao Ying intently. His gaze was resolute, admirable. The demonic creatures could no longer contain their savage instincts. Consumed by a ravenous hunger, They had 2 delectable morsels right before them. Such tempting, succulent prey, how could they possibly resist? Xiaoying delegated, Keita, you take care of those 4 young Na Lang. If you can boost my power, our chances of victory will be much higher. I understand these magical beasts well. We will definitely win. I just hope these 2 children will be safe, that no harm will befall them. Despite their valiant spirit, actual combat was always fraught with unforeseen dangers. Xiaoyan silently signaled to Kuda, her eyes filled with determination. On the count of 3, run, Xiaoyan whispered. Kuda asked in surprise, what about you? What are you going to do? They were true friends, always looking out for each other, no matter the situation. Xiaoyan bravely stepped forward, her small figure radiating resilience. Don't worry, I'll lure them away, she said confidently. Leave it to me, Kuda, you cover me from behind. I'll do my best. I'll hold them off as long as I can.
Kuda replied resolutely.
Xiaoyan taunted the monsters, beckoning them forward. Come on, bring it on. If you dare, she yelled, her voice echoing through the forest. Meanwhile, Xiaoyan secretly activated a cleverly hidden trap. She began the countdown. 1. Working together seamlessly, they put their plan into action. From behind, Kuda provided cover for Xiaoyan with precise attacks. Xiaoyan poised herself, ready to unleash her decisive strike. 3, she shouted, launching her attack. Seeing Xiaoyan's movement, the ferocious monsters charged. Like ravenous beasts, they lunged at their prey, determined not to let it escape. Hearing the signal, Kuda sprinted away, executing the plan flawlessly. They split up, running in opposite directions. Xiaoying bravely charged straight into the horde of ferocious demonic beasts. She launched herself into the air with a breathtaking leap. Nimbly, she dodged a set of razor-sharp fangs. The terrifying jaws of the ravenous beast snapped shut on empty air. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoying activated her hidden skill, Bewitchment. Her body shimmered, becoming nearly translucent. The disoriented beast lost track of her position. It lashed out, its attack going wide. Xiaoying landed softly on the ground. For this brief moment, she was safe. The beasts couldn't see her, nor could they sense her presence. Confused, the demonic creatures froze in place. They couldn't believe their prey had vanished right before their eyes. According to the knowledge Xiaoying possessed, Yaling were known for their terrifying speed and keen sense of smell. Therefore, it was crucial to never try to outrun them. The bewitchment skill was only temporary. She couldn't maintain this state for long in the presence of the Yaling. The horde of demonic creatures sniffed the air relentlessly, desperately trying to pick up her trail, to follow the path she'd taken. Her escape route. Meanwhile, Keita had found a secure hiding place high above. He silently prayed that Xiaoying would be safe, that she wouldn't encounter any danger. Suddenly, in the blink of an eye, the demonic creature was upon her. Or rather, it was now close enough to simply open its jaws and swallow Xiaoying whole. But the beast, overconfident and unsuspecting, had presented her with a golden opportunity. With lightning-fast reflexes, Xiaoying unleashed a special skill, unexpectedly binding the beast's legs. A blinding flash of light erupted where they stood. The fearsome demonic creatures that had been so menacing just moments before were now frozen in place, unable to move a muscle. Xiaoying licked her thumb, a triumphant smirk spreading across her face. Hehe, free bonus points. Thanks, Wu Yan. From afar, Wu Yan sensed that while Xiaoying looked as captivating as ever, her eyes now held a chilling, sharp glint. But inside, he felt a surge of relief. It seemed he had worried for nothing. Xiaoying twirled the sharp dagger in her hand, her eyes focused with icy intensity. She moved with the fluid grace of a dancer, effortlessly taking down the monstrous beasts. With a single, swift slash, she ended the life of each terrifying creature. After dispatching the beasts and watching them fall, she called out to Kuda, "All clear, you can come over now." Hearing Xiaoying's signal, Kuda sprang into action. He quickly jumped down from his hidden vantage point. The carcasses and blood of the magical beasts lay scattered across the ground, a gruesome sight. But suddenly, a bizarre thought crossed Kuda's mind. Why did the artist draw falling dog hair, but the hair is sinking downwards? Finally, Kuda could breathe a sigh of relief after the tense moments. Phew, it's so reassuring to follow a top student, he thought to himself. As for Xiaoying, she seemed quite pleased and excited. More points, she exclaimed confidently. Seeing the unexpected outcome, Wu Yan secretly rejoiced. Xiaoying and Kuda will be fine on this side, he assured himself. I need to check on the others. He then began to carefully observe his surroundings. There were no more signs of other magical beasts. An eerie silence descended. Wu Yan gracefully ascended into the air, his body moving as swiftly and silently as smoke. He moved without a sound, a phantom gliding through the darkness. His flight resembled that of the legendary Monkey King, Sun Wukong, unrestrained and free. Excitement bubbling within him, Wu Yan thought to himself, hopefully the other areas are just as peaceful. I hope no one runs into any trouble. He searched for a secluded, inconspicuous spot where he could conceal himself. Quickly, he melted into the shadows. However, the situation for the other group of students was far less serene. They were employing the first strategy of the 36 stratagems: deceive the heavens to cross the ocean, essentially, running for their lives. In other words, they were making a desperate escape. Hot on their heels were none other than ferocious magical beasts in relentless pursuit. Terrified screams echoed through the air, growing louder with each passing moment. Things were unfolding in a way Wu Yan hadn't anticipated. Perhaps because this was their first encounter with real danger, not a single one of them dared to turn and fight back. They ran blindly, desperately trying to escape the clutches of the magical beasts. All they could do was run, run, and run. Witnessing this scene, Wu Yan couldn't help but feel a wave of disappointment wash over him. Discouragement was evident on his face. It's best to stay put and wait for rescue. Wu Yan felt that the gap between classroom theory and real-world combat was significant. Apparently, the training program needed more practical exercises. Wu Yan decided to scout the area, assessing the situation and ensuring it was under control. Afterward, he would revise the training materials accordingly. Watching the other students fumble, panic, and cower in fear, confused and helpless in the face of real danger, Wu Yan thought to himself, I need to report back to Fu Ning, have her revise the curriculum immediately. Suddenly, Wu Yan whipped around, as if he had sensed something unusual, something out of place. Unexpectedly, amidst the timid and frightened students, stood someone with extraordinary power so remarkable that she could single-handedly take down a horde of ferocious beasts. It was none other than Fei Fei. Those terrifying magical beasts lay scattered and unconscious at her feet. She's truly remarkable. Wu Yan already knew Fei Fei possessed extraordinary strength, but her current display far surpassed even his expectations. It was beyond anything he could have imagined. Concealed behind a massive ancient tree, Wu Yan silently observed the fight. He thought to himself, if he weren't here, Fei Fei would undoubtedly be the top combat student. She deserved the champion's title. However, he hadn't had a chance to directly face Fei Fei in a fight at this point. Wu Yan speculated that if he adjusted his power to her level, ensuring a fair fight, it would be difficult to predict the victor. In their past lives, they had countless clashes, testing each other's skills. Back then, their abilities were evenly matched, resulting in stalemates. Fei Fei, are you serious? Absolutely. Without seriousness, how can we truly gauge each other's strength? Then I'll have to go all out too. Although it was just a friendly spar, a test of skills, the solemn and determined expressions on both their faces, making me wonder if they're friend or foe. Are you intentionally provoking me? I've given it my all, and you're still not taking this seriously? Haha, forgive me, just allow me to express myself a little. Suddenly, a voice cut through his thoughts, memories flooding back into Wu Yan's mind. Wu Yan, so you're here too? Wu Yan jolted awake, his heart pounding in his chest. I didn't realize you could be so unguarded. So Fei Fei found your hiding spot. You should come out, your observation skills are still quite sharp. I thought I hadn't made a single sound. Fei Fei didn't reply to the compliment, because she understood that, in this dangerous world, without sufficient caution and vigilance, even a moment of carelessness could cost a life. Wu Yan nodded in agreement. You're right, shall we walk together for a bit? The two strolled casually amidst the desolate landscape, a stark contrast like night and day compared to the classmates who had just arrived. The scene before him suddenly evoked memories of Wu Yan's past life. They had fought side by side countless times, overcoming numerous dangers together. They had weathered countless storms and faced arduous trials. Time flew by, who knows how long it had been. Finally, they had reached the second stage of the instance. Wu Yan and Fei Fei arrived in a desolate land, exuding a gloomy, chilling atmosphere, like a haunted place. This was the territory of ferocious magical beasts. The scent of intruders lingered in the air, prompting them to appear and greet the uninvited guests. Fei Fei observed the pack of magical beasts before her, her gaze fixated on a high-level 2-star shadow leopard. Its special skill was shadow meld, allowing it to seamlessly blend into the surrounding darkness, becoming invisible to its opponents, making it difficult for them to detect its presence. Hidden in the shadows, it became invisible, undetectable. Then, it would launch a lightning-fast attack, tearing its prey apart with terrifying speed. Suddenly accelerating, it would charge towards its prey or enemy with dizzying velocity. And upon reaching its target, it would use its sharp jaws to bite and tear, inflicting devastating damage. Dealing with them was certainly no easy task. The only problem is there are just so many of them. Fei Fei sighed, exhaustion evident on her face. She turned, her gaze locking onto Wu Yan. So, how are we going to settle this? Are you suggesting a competition based on the number of magical beasts we kill? Fei Fei shot off, her voice brimming with excitement. Of course! What else? Wu Yan smiled, recognizing her competitive spirit and her usual eagerness to take the lead. To him, these low-level magical beasts posed no real challenge. They both charged towards the horde, their auras blazing. Like two ferocious predators, their eyes were sharp, filled with determination. I suddenly feel a pang of sympathy for those poor magical beasts. They're so unlucky to have become the targets of these two humans' competition. Wu Yan felt that these magical beasts were too weak to be a worthy opponent. As he focused on attacking the beasts in front of him, another one suddenly emerged from behind, attempting a sneak attack. But unfortunately for it, with just one powerful punch from Wu Yan, the unlucky magical beast was sent flying, its body vanishing into the night. Feeling as if he had wings on his feet, Wu Yan weaved through the horde of magical beasts. By now, he'd taken down a staggering 108 of them. Working in perfect sync, they effortlessly dispatched the remaining monsters. A massive wave of magical beasts, their numbers terrifying, surged forward. Yet, he remained completely unscathed, without even a scratch. Wu Yan sensed something amiss. Driven by their wild instincts, shouldn't they be attacking in overwhelming packs? Fei Fei seemed to notice the peculiarity as well. For those awakened with 2 stars or less, these individual attacks weren't a significant threat. However, they definitely possessed the ability to gauge an opponent's strength. So why were they recklessly charging in, practically begging for death? She recalled her training materials on this particular instance zone. Theoretically, they shouldn't be behaving this way. This is bizarre, Wu Yan thought to himself. More than attacking them, it was as if they were desperately trying to escape from something. Suddenly, a shared realization dawned upon them both. They exchanged a knowing glance. Could Wu Yan and Fei Fei be running for their lives? Were they searching for a mental escape, a safe haven in their minds? Could it be they weren't fleeing pursuers, but desperately trying to escape a terrifying boss lurking deep within the virtual world of SAO? What surprised him most, what he never expected, was that such a seemingly simple dungeon could harbor such a grave danger. Both were horrified, frozen by the sight before them. Even though they had braced themselves for the worst, reality far surpassed their calculations. That thing, lurking at the edge of the dark forest, a monster with a grotesque and terrifying form. It was the culprit behind the slaughter of the low-level magical beasts, their bodies scattered and piled up around it. It casually savored its spoils, like it was relishing a delectable meal. Somehow, Wu Yan aside, Fei Fei bravely advanced towards the monster. Neither showed any fear, but calmly faced it, intently observing the monster as it devoured the magical beast's flesh. The moment it laid eyes on Wu Yan, the colossal monster reacted as if it had been waiting for him for an eternity. You've finally arrived. Wu Yan couldn't comprehend how this dungeon boss could devour even the dungeon's own guardians. Upon encountering Wu Yan, the final boss exuded a strange aura, as though it had patiently awaited his arrival in this place for a very long time. Have you come? Wu Yan was stunned, taken aback by the cryptic words. Why would this creature speak in such a way? Could it be? He felt like the monster was intentionally trying to tell him something. Did it know who he was? His true identity? The Minotaur roared furiously, its bellow echoing throughout the space. We are trapped in this endless cycle of reincarnation, it bellowed in anguish. Reborn, only to be destroyed, time and time again. While you roam free, living comfortably out there. Do you think the Demon Lord will let this stand? You are naive. He will return. And we will return too. It stepped closer, its voice a guttural growl aimed at Wu Yan. But Wu Yan's attention was solely fixed on Fei Fei. The Nyoto Guai noticed his distraction. He knew Wu Yan was about to be exposed. Why isn't this recorded in the documents? He thought to himself. It's over, I'm done for, panicked the Nyoto Guai. Fei Fei was an incredibly sharp and intelligent woman. If he kept up this charade, she would surely become suspicious. Wu Yan quietly retreated a step. He subtly shifted his appearance, concealing his true identity. Swift as lightning, he struck a critical blow to the back of Fei Fei's neck. The blow rendered her unconscious. Wu Yan swiftly caught Fei Fei, gently lowering her to the ground. Fei Fei, I'm sorry, he whispered. After ensuring Fei Fei was completely out cold, Wu Yan turned and strode towards the Nyoto Guai. The Nyoto Guai scoffed, his tone laced with sarcasm. A hero brought down by a beauty. The emotions of you humans have always been a mystery to me. What do they bring you? Happiness? Or merely fleeting satisfaction? Wu Yan didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. Why did you conceal the truth just now? Reveal your true form. Ox-head monster. With a massive body, towering over Wu Yan, he spoke in a booming voice because I revel in observing the myriad emotions of humankind. Your earlier display of disappointment and despair was particularly delightful. To think that the great Star Slayer, whose fame resonates far and wide, could be capable of fear. Wu Yan gasped. You know I'm the Star Slayer? Could it be? Are you also someone who transmigrated here? Wu Yan speculated, or are the demons learning from us humans? But the ox-head monster didn't bother answering. Take a guess. His mocking reply infuriated Wu Yan. Wrong. I don't like guessing games. Wu Yan charged towards the ox-head monster. The ox-head monster instantly swung his gigantic battle axe, meeting Wu Yan's attack head-on. Even if you kill me, I will restore order to this world. Who is Wu Yan, really? That's none of your concern. Even if you are a reincarnated soul, you're no different from the others to me. Wu Yan fought barehanded, without any weapons, yet his strength was astonishing, completely unfazed by the ox-head's massive axe. Last time I sent you to the Yellow Springs, banished from this world forever. This time will be no different. With powerful blows, Wu Yan effortlessly shattered the enormous axe in the ox-head's grasp. Then, he delivered a devastating punch straight to the monster's nose. Just the sight of it was enough to make one wince in pain. He unleashed a relentless barrage of attacks, sending the ox-head flying. The monster crashed to the ground with a tremendous explosion, sending debris flying. Wu Yan stepped back as the dust settled, revealing that the ox-head's body had vanished, returned to the cycle of reincarnation. The Nyoto Guai's mangled body lay there, a gruesome sight. Strangely, the sight made him crave smoked buffalo meat. Wu Yan withdrew his power, returning to his normal student form. He looked down at the Nyoto Guai's ruined corpse and said coldly, "Your life is in my hands. You live only because I allow it." With that, Wu Yan lifted the unconscious Fei Fei and turned to leave the desolate scene. But after a few steps, he paused. Almost forgot something. Wu Yan went back and picked up a glittering stone from the Nyoto Guai's remains. I'll take this magic stone as proof that I spared your life. I despise those who try to show off and act tough in front of me. Witnessing this scene, onlookers silently hoped their relationship was purely platonic. If Xiaoying saw this, she would surely be heartbroken. Meanwhile, the other students were still desperately fleeing from the ferocious magical beasts. We can't keep running. We have to do something. A male student mustered his courage, turned around, and shouted, "Behold my ultimate move, Heaven's Net Formation." But to everyone's surprise, this seemingly futile act had an unexpected effect. The magical beasts were utterly terrified, their eyes bulging as if they were about to pop out of their sockets. This bizarre sight left the students bewildered and confused. But as it turned out, this coincidence was incredibly timely. At that very moment, the renowned Xiaoying suddenly appeared and delivered a fatal blow. Upon returning, Wu Yan immediately set Fei Fei down on the ground. The young girl woke up shortly after. Fei Fei looked at Wu Yan with a sharp gaze, as if she had seen through all the secrets he was trying to hide. Wu Yan tried to maintain a calm expression, pretending that nothing had happened, but he couldn't escape the truth. Even though he could defeat countless ferocious magical beasts in front of his friends, he always surrendered willingly. He lay still, allowing them to punish him. As a result, Wu Yan foamed at the mouth and fainted after Fei Fei's sweet revenge.